Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching this transmission. 'Tis I, Mike Martins, with Mike in the Night. I want to thank everyone for joining me from every English-speaking country in the world. And I want to thank Robbie, who is in London, UK, watching this. I want to thank Samantha from Belfast, Ireland, who watches my show. Belfast, Ireland, who's watching my show all the time. I want to thank Richard, who is in Edinburgh, Scotland, who is watching. I have a list of people, too, by the way. I want to thank Calvin, who's in Perth, Australia. Thanks for the tip. I want to thank, oh God, what's his name? Oh God, did I forget his name? Kevin H., who's watching me in Miami Beach, Florida. And, I want to thank, what's his name, who sent me an email the other day with a long-winded story, who's going to be on our show. I want to thank, Newton. Yeah, his name is Newton. He's in New Zealand, and just outside of Auckland, for watching my show, Trends in the Housing Market. Guys, tonight is Mike in the Night, a little bit of off-topic discussion, a little bit of politics, and there is so much drama in the political scene right now. It is phenomenal. I jumped in to run for city councilor of my city here in the city of Merritt, and I was just destroyed. And I took a step back and said, my wife, it's not going to happen anymore. I want to make the city great. I want, everybody wants to do what they can to make this place happy. I just backed right out, right quick in a heartbeat. I'm not interested in this whole getting cyber bashed, people painting a picture of people that's just not there, right? It's just not there. And Judge Kavanaugh, my heart goes out to him and his family. He's been under an incredible amount of just fake media. So now when you got the fake news against you, man, you're toast. You are toast. But he doesn't back down. He does not back down. And in my heart of hearts, he's a hero. Heart of hearts. Everybody knows, obviously, after watching his testimony, after he had finally had a chance, after 10 days sitting in the dark waiting to be called on to testify or give his testimony on what happened, and his wife back there getting very emotional about this. I got emotional about this, man. Who wouldn't be emotional about this? We got the comments going. We got Steve the Plumber. We got Banku here from Japan. We got the Lost Canuck, Mario DeSetis. Absolutely disgusted for what's happening here. And what they did to this man. And they're ready to drain the swamp. And that's why they don't want him in there. Is because he's going to obviously start taking care of business. And with this final figure in place, the tide might start turning. Because once you get into this, watch this. Kavanaugh's chaos must be putting a smile on Bill Clinton's face. Why? What does Bill Clinton have to do with this? Well, a lot of people don't know this. 20 years ago, Brett Kavanaugh drafted tough questions for Bill Clinton. So when Bill Clinton was accused of doing something with an intern, he sent the questions. Guys, stop messaging me on Facebook. Okay, here goes. So now they're going to be investigating the second woman. So we're going to get our geopolitical analyst on right now for the next couple of minutes to see what he has to say. And we will see what he has going on and what he has in store for us. And it's Rex Kohan, our geopolitical analyst. Okay, I can't.
Hello.
Hi, is this Rex Kohan?
Hey, this is Rex Cohen. Hi, Mike.
Hey, how are you? Okay, so we're covering tonight's Brett
Russia and Syria, the path to World War III.
Well, no, well, Path to World War III, we're going to do, okay, you know what? Quickly tell us what you think of the Path to World War III, and then we're going to jump back on topic because we're just covering Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're covering what's happening with Faith Goldie. So,
Okay.
so you know what? Why don't you tell me what you think about Brett Kavanaugh, because it's kind of important. I read an article here, and I got it open here, that 20 years ago, Brett Kavanaugh drafted the toughest questions for Bill Clinton. He's the one who actually asked Bill Clinton all those questions when he was accused of being with an intern. So this
Yeah,
looks like it's revenge.
Yeah, okay. Now, Brett Kavanaugh, he is he's a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening right now in the Senate, the debate about the sexual assaults, like, it's really hard to know what happened. And it's this whole situation is very unfortunate for Brett Kavanaugh and the woman that claimed that he sexually assaulted her. Now, both of these individuals are feeling some heat within the American public. Now, my understanding is now they delayed the vote for a week. And there's going to be an FBI investigation this week into the allegations, the sexual assault allegations that they say that Dr. Ford says that Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her.
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you what I think. It's a lie.
It could be a lie. Who was it? Grassley, Senator Grassley. Was it him that kind of lashed out? And he said that he claimed he thought it was a lie. And it's very dicey. It's like the Democrats and the Republicans. It's a war. Some people think that the Democrats, and the Democrats are slightly at fault. Why did it bring the letter, Dr. Ford's letter, at the last minute before the vote? Because they could have brought it in 3 months ago for a proper investigation. But the Democrats didn't. They waited until the last minute to produce this letter by Dr. Ford. Right? It's like they dropped a bombshell. So they're at fault too. I'm not saying Dr. Ford's at fault. No, she might have penned the letter months ago, but the Democrats, the political arm, the political entity itself, they must take blame for bringing this letter up at the last minute for political reasons. Now, whether the allegations are true or not, it's hard to know. It happened, 36 years ago during high school.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of the witnesses, they said that Dr. Ford said that we're there, or they said that they claim to have witnessed it. They said that no such thing happened, and Kavanaugh himself said that he wasn't around at that time.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes in the story. That's the thing. Like, how did the girl get to the party? She didn't live nowhere near. She didn't even have a car. She wasn't old enough to drive. There was just so.
Not just that. She didn't even know where the party was.
Yeah.
Where the party was, whose house was it at? She didn't even know whose house it was at. So there's a lot of questions here, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of holes in it. But if you're but the thing is, if you're sexually assaulted, maybe you do have memory lapses. We don't know. So let the FBI investigate it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in favor of it, right? To find out the truth. And if they don't have enough evidence, then, perhaps the Senate may vote in favor of Brett Kavanaugh. So that's what's happening right now. But I pin the fault on the Democrats because the Democrats brought this up at the last minute. They brought this letter up at the last minute. So perhaps the two people, Kavanaugh and Ford, they're both victims here. They're both victims of the political establishment, the Republicans and the Democrats, right?
It's a tug of war is what it is, right?
It's a tug of war. And, both of these people, whether they have, one's a PhD, one's, a judge at the second highest court, Right now, he may be a judge at the highest court in America. So they're both professionals, and both of their credibilities have taken a hit. That both of their families are being threatened, and you know why? It's because the American political establishment is so immature. They're bickering at each other. Not just this incident, but there's other incidents. As soon as Trump's got elected, and it's not even they've been bickering about everything: wars, taxes. They're bickering about who made the economy better. Did Trump right now has I think the lowest unemployment rate, and people are saying that it's Obama. Obama made the changes, and Trump's just reaping the benefits now.
That's a bunch of crap.
And there's studies that have shown no, it's Trump that changed the economy, not Obama. So they're bickering about everything. They're bickering about that Trump's a racist, Trump's a sexist. But the thing is, it's Obama that started the most wars. There's Obama that led the most wars in any presidency right now.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
In recent presidents, the last 3 or 4 presidents.
Are you still?
The most drone attacks.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
And
That against.
They gave him a Nobel Peace Prize, right? While he's going to war. Isn't that hypocritical?
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, before, are you still in the airport there in Chicago right now? Are you waiting for I thought you're waiting. Are you still waiting for your flight there?
Yes.
Okay, so you're still at the Chicago airport, O'Hare Airport, right?
Yes.
Is it busy there?
Yeah, it's pretty busy. Chicago's one of the biggest airports in North America. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
if you got to jump on your flight, that's not a big deal. I just wanted to get you on first before you jumped on your flight there.
Yeah.
Where are you going, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll be heading back to Toronto.
Okay.
For another visit the university there, and then I'll be right now. It's really a long wait right now, but I'll be heading out there, and then maybe back to Chicago later in another couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, before you jump on your flight there, okay, let's move on real quick here. I need to know what's going on here. So, Slick Willie Clinton, right? Kavanaugh, Bill Clinton's putting a big smile on his face because of Kavanaugh's questions that were asked against Clinton. And Kavanaugh has to do his job.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the right questions to ask at that time. And now I heard that even one of Clinton's accusers for sexual assault, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's spoken up about it many times, right? That there's a couple during even when Hillary was running for election for the president, just this last time against Trump. Some of the sexual assault accusers that said Bill Clinton accused me, they came forward, but Hillary Clinton wouldn't let them speak, and she actually said that they're lying, they're not to be trusted.
Interesting.
Right? So that's what's happening. The Democrats mostly if you're talking about sexual assault or abuse and it's against the Republicans, they'll put you up on a pedestal, make sure the whole world hears it.
And they give you a trophy too.
Yeah, trophy, exactly.
They give you a trophy.
If you're going to say, I got sexually assaulted, and you're talking about, maybe the President Clinton did it, or somebody in the Democrat Party did it, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. So,
when are you heading back to Washington? Are you going to go back there soon or no?
Yeah, I got to go back there. I have some meetings up there, and to talk a little bit more about. It's mostly about the Middle East policy.
Yeah, I know that's what you specialized in. Okay, before we get to that, what do you think of Faith Goldie in Toronto? What's happening? They've pulled her advertising and gave her a refund, and she was escorted off stage.
Okay, now about Faith Goldie, I'm not sure. Did they say that she's a white supremacist?
She's not. I
didn't hear anything where she says I support the KKK or this is a white country or Canada's a white country or anything. I never heard any of that. What I heard is that she's more conservative.
Yeah.
I heard that she welcomes anybody in the world to Canada as long as you speak English, you're willing to learn English, and and you're contributing to the economy, right? A few things like that. But I think just last week she was at some kind of it was on YouTube. She was at some Hindu function in Ontario.
I saw that, and everybody was praising her, and everybody was listening to her. Everyone was taking notes. Everybody was acknowledging her. Everyone gave her respect. Unlike this bullcrap thing here, where it's all the main media, and they don't even want her talking there.
No, it's mostly what it is. There's a lot of the media establishment, like all the big papers in the United States, and all the major media corporations in the United States are only owned by like 5 people, a handful of people. If you control the media, you control some of the big corporations, and then you're able to control everybody's mind. So these people that control the media, it's like they're directing everybody to think a certain way, and it's not. They don't want a conservative thinking country in both in USA and in Canada. So if Faith Goldie's a conservative, and I don't think she's a racist, right? It's just that she's a conservative. That's it. She has conservative views, right? I don't think she's a racist at all, and that's not allowed in Toronto. Toronto wants us. Remember Toronto, the previous premier. Like, who's the premier now? Is it Doug Ford, Rob Ford's brother? Right? He's a premier. Who was the premier? Kathleen Wynne was a premier before that.
Yes, that's right.
Kathleen Wynne was a very liberal. She was lesbian and all that, right? And she had a lot of policies in Toronto, and I think that she in Ontario, and the province went into debt, a big time debt. And actually, during the election, Doug Ford, kicked her ass. Right?
Yeah.
And the Liberals are nowhere now in power in Ontario.
So guys watching this right now, if you're watching this right now, please go to Faith Goldie, Faith for Toronto, Faith Goldie. She's got 20,000, 75 followers. Let's see if we can get her up to 50,000. So this post was from yesterday. Illegal media bans our paid ads. So like media that you could pay for. Here, I'm going to pay for my ads in the newspaper. Here, I'm going to pay for my ads. They illegally banned her from paying for her own ads. And if you look at some of the people that are following her, a lot of these people are my friends here, or follow the channel, or in the comments right now as we speak. Oh my goodness. Okay, so
basically what I'm saying is Ontario still has, the Kathleen Wynne, kind of the very liberal attitude, and these are the politicians that are running for mayor right now, and they don't want no conservative person running for mayor. And you know what? They'll make up anything. They'll call you a racist, bigot, whatever, even though you might not have those views. But you know what? Don't listen to the media. I'm going to tell your listeners, never listen to the media. Go out and do your own research. Go out and figure things out for yourself. Remember, don't listen to the media. It's only controlled by a handful of people, 5 or 6 people in North America, right? And don't listen to them. Go and do your own research. Make your own independent decisions. You know what? And that's what we should promote. That's the kind of thinking that we should promote the new generation in Canada, the next generation in Canada. Independent thinking. Solve your own problems. Think for yourself.
Okay, so I got a headline right here from the Star. Doug Ford finally names white nationalist Faith Goldie in denouncing hate speech. So
yeah, he was pushed to say that. Doug Ford's also protecting his ass too, right? Because he's the premier, and he's just trying to step away from any controversy. He has a big job to manage the entire province, and right now, he's trying to reduce the councils of Toronto's city council size. But he's a conservative. I'm sure that if he wasn't trying to protect his his butt that he would actually, if he wasn't even in politics, he would actually be fully supporting her.
Goldie says she wants to crack down on crime and make our streets safe again. I'm a common sense conservative who will put the taxpayers first.
Yeah, I believe that. I challenge your listeners. I challenge anybody on the internet. Find something. Please post it on Mike Martin's site. Something that Faith Goldie says that deems her racist. Find anything.
Yeah, we can't find. I went.
That's a challenge to all the users right now on the internet. Find something. Find an article. Find any quote that Faith Goldie has says, and put it right here on Mike Martin's site that deems that she's a racist and a white supremacist.
Oh my
I
God.
bet you won't find nothing.
Yeah, no, that's what's eating me inside. And the same thing with Brett Kavanaugh. It's why. Okay, can I ask you why are we in so much drama in this political landscape? Why is there so much drama?
Okay, yeah, this whole thing is there's so much drama. You know what? It's things like there's so much corruption. Okay, people say there's corruption in China or India, right? And rightly so, there is corruption in those countries. But you know what? And that corruption there is done at a lower level. Like at a much lower level, at kind of like a business level, right? But in North America, the corruption is just as bad as done at this high level. High level deal making. I'll pay you off. I'll pay this guy off. And we'll move this corporation to China. You know what? And then we'll lay these people off. We'll put this much money into your pocket, Hillary Clinton. Send us. We'll buy uranium from you, Hillary Clinton, as long as we give you this much money. You approve it. Big time corruption in North America, man. Big time. And you know what? Now what's happening is there are some people that want to protect Canada and the U.S., mostly conservatives, right? But here we got some of the very liberal people, trying to destroy the fabric. Trying to destroy the fabric, what made this continent great. Families, family unity, society, community, jobs. The Rust Belt was very big on jobs, manufacturing. It's all been gutted and destroyed. It's all been thrown into Asia for jobs. That they're manufacturing everything. And what's left in Canada and the U.S.? We're not manufacturing nothing now. We're buying everything from other countries. All right, and you know what? And all these big corporations, they're making big mad money because there are no environmental regulations in those other foreign countries, and then they sell it all back to us. And that's what's happening, right? And these are the guys that put these liberals, Democrats in power. They want to continue reaping the profit, and we don't see it. And then what's happening is we're programmed into this kind of state of using. They use identity politics to divide us. If you're Chinese or if you're Aboriginal, if you're East Indian, or if you're black, if you're a new immigrant. There's so much stuff coming from the media, that divides everybody, that promotes non-conservative viewpoints. So you vote more liberal, and then the society gets degenerated, and because there's no unity, no societal unity, and then it just gets washed away. And remember, the media is controlled by only a handful of people, and those handful of people are pushing the corporations abroad. And
they're pushing social media, and they're trying to shut down social media because social media is what won Trump the election, not the mainstream media.
Yeah, you know what? I don't have a social media. You asked me before, Mike, do you have a Facebook account? Do you have an Instagram? I don't use those accounts. I don't want nothing to do with those sites. You know why? Because once I have those sites, the next generation, whoever I'm related to, suppose I have a child, suppose I have a daughter, or suppose I have a son, they'll be using that information to understand the next generation. And I don't want to do that to my kids. So Zuckerberg and Duckerberg, whoever you are, stay away from our families.
Mm-hmm. Okay, dude, I'm gonna let you go. I got a couple of more callers. I'm gonna get Moby on the phone next because he's in Toronto and he knows what's happening with this Faith Goldie thing. He actually knows her, so we will keep in touch, and I'll have you on next Saturday's show.
Okay, thanks, Mike, and remember, I challenge your viewers before I leave to post something on your Mike Martin's In the Night show in the comment section that tells us Face Goldie's a racist and a supremacist. I challenge your users.
Yeah, that she said it herself, not the media.
Yes.
Okay, buddy. Have a safe flight.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Well, that was Rex Kohan and Chicago O'Hare Airport. He told me, Mike, you're going to start your show. I want to be on your show before anyone else. I'm like, dude, I could get you anytime. No, I'm going to jump on a plane. I'm just waiting. We're going to be boarding like in 45, 50 minutes. I'm like, okay. Anyways, okay, I got to get Moby on because Moby understands what is happening with this. I hope he's got his Skype on. Moby, are you still there? Or I hope he's not. Okay, here we go. Let's find out from Moby what is happening. We got quite a few guests tonight. Let's see what he could tell us on what is happening here. Moby, you there, buddy?
Who is this?
Who the hell is this? Is this Moby?
Yeah, you bet it is, buddy. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. How are things? How's life? How's the campaigning going?
Oh, Mike. There's been a lot of updates. I got to fill you guys in.
Oh, before you kick it off, tell them where you're running for, what position you're running for, and what your section or your area is.
Okay, so I was running for Toronto City Council in York Centre, which is the north, call it the northwest end of the city. Now, as of last week, unfortunately, I had to drop out, and I say that because the new rules that kicked in made it that much harder for, I guess, the younger sort of startups like me to get involved, but it's put like the incumbents against each other, right? So you basically now have what was a 47 council race now reduced to a 25 member council race. So basically, it's basically the heavyweights against each other. And what I did, if you want to go on my Twitter feed, you'll see that I put out a campaign statement in which I put out a statement and said that I want what's best for the community of Downsview, right? And so what I did at that point was I looked at the incumbents, I looked at their platforms. I had a sit down with each of the incumbents in either side of the area that I was running to represent. And I endorsed two candidates. On the eastern side, I had endorsed James Pasternak, who is the incumbent councillor for the eastern side of York Centre. And then there was a small chunk of Downsview on the western side that got taken over by the new riding of Humber River.
Okay.
And I had endorsed a councillor, Giorgio Mammoliti. He is obviously a right of center candidate who was supportive of the Ford brothers and the Ford agenda.
Yeah.
And right now I'm campaigning for Giorgio Mammoliti.
Okay. So basically, you dropped out of the race. So here's the problem when you start cutting. This is a major problem. What they did. I guess it's good to get a lot of people out, and then taxpayers get a bit of they don't get a break, but they spend less on, you know what it is?
They spend less on politician salaries, just put it that way.
Okay, but you know what it boils down to? Less representation.
Exactly. To an extent, yes. However, and I say however because I've had instances of this where I get services completed without having to go through a counselor. I'll give you an example. So, say for example, if you're on like your street, for example, and you need, you need like a tree limb cut, or you need a pothole filled, right?
Right.
Back in the day, what you had to do was you'd have to say call up either 311 Toronto, or you'd have to call your local counselor, right, and get them to submit a request to the city to get a work order done so that the crews can come out and say fix the pothole. So what I did one day was I was made aware of a pothole that wasn't too far from where I lived. So I was like, okay, well, we have this thing called Twitter. So it's like, okay, I can reach the city of Toronto directly on Twitter. So all I do is I go up to where the pothole is. I see the location. I take a picture of the pothole, take a picture of the location. I tweet it out to 301 Toronto, and I say, hey, look, there's a pothole here at, this intersection near Keelan Wilson. It's been here for a while. Could you send a crew out to fix it? Mm-hmm. And then within maybe 10 minutes, I'll get a Twitter response, and they're saying, oh, thank you. This is so-and-so from transportation. And what we'll do after that is we'll send out a work order and we'll get it fixed.
Okay.
And then a week later, boom, it's done.
Done.
And I didn't have to do a politician. I didn't have to call a counselor's office. I didn't have to do any of that.
That's good. That's actually good. So representation, it's taking, it's flowing into the hands of everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, and with the advent of technology and with the fact that you can reach the city directly and you don't have to go through a politician most of the time, right? You can actually get services, or you can get things fixed through the city, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay, so what's the deal with Doug Ford finally names the white nationalist Faith Goldie denouncing what is happening with Faith? She gets, okay, let's kick it off first with her getting removed from the stage.
Okay, let's go back there. So that story, started a few days ago. The idea was that there was supposed to be a debate about arts amongst several candidates, right? Now, the candidates that were at least invited, or supposedly invited, were, Jennifer Keesmaat, John Tory, and then two other candidates who I don't even know the names of. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they were invited, and Faith Goldie, who was polling at the time in third, right, isn't if you follow the storyline, either A, she isn't invited, or B, she was invited, or she didn't fill out the proper paperwork. But the point is, she wasn't allowed on stage, or she wasn't allowed on that debate period, right? Okay. So that's the issue at hand here. She isn't allowed to debate, right? And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why isn't she allowed to debate, right? So the thought that comes to my mind is they don't want people to see her. Right? I know people who are working in John Tory's campaign who are a mix of both conservatives and liberals. And when I say conservatives, they're not hardcore conservatives. They're like soft conservatives, right? Mm-hmm. So John Tory's campaign is a mix of liberals and conservatives, whereas people who are supporting Faith Goldie are more so like hard conservatives, like myself, right? Now, with respect to this particular event that took place, she gets up on stage and she mentions the night before that she put out a petition and that she wanted people to sign to try and get her onto the stage. And yeah, she gets 5,000 signatures.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Absolutely. And then the next day after that, she gets even more. Even after this, it went way past like 7,000 or something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so she brings up her petition. She basically gets manhandled by the police and another security person. Meanwhile, some of her followers are filming her, saying to let her debate. Obviously, they wouldn't let her, which leads to the next debate that was supposed to happen. And that gets even more interesting because that one was done by Global News, mm-hmm. right?
Guys watching, the people that are watching this, Global News is like our CNN.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
And now, if for anybody who's also following, Global News, I believe, is a division of Bell Media.
Okay.
And then. Okay, so I'll talk about just before. Actually, it was just after that they censored her on the advertising for CP24.
Yeah,
I'll explain that one in a minute.
Let me get that.
That's actually a little bit more complex.
Okay.
Than what you're reading in the news, but I'll explain that one in a minute. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the same deal happened with Global News. So there's a studio downtown called Chorus Key, in which they were having a mayoral debate. She tries to go in again, except this time lock the doors at the entrance, so they're not even allowed in. Right?
At the next debate.
Yeah.
When was this debate?
So there was another. This was just a couple days ago. If you look, just go on Google, look it up. Global News.
Because I'm on her Facebook page. And,
okay.
And I'm looking at it here, and she's got Goldie's radicals not welcome petition, faith debate and mayoral election. Radicals not welcome. Wow. Yeah. So there was another campaign. She was blocked from all debates, and now our ads are being banned by John Tory's friends in the corporate media. Is this democracy?
Yes. Okay, now I'll explain this one to you. Mm-hmm. So here's what happened. A few weeks ago, Faith Goldie had raised a considerable amount of money in order to get ads on mainstream some mainstream channels. Right now, typically these ads would run, not 24 hours a day, but maybe say during very specific and strategic times of the day where a lot of people are watching, right? Like either first thing in the morning or, later on in the evening when people are at home and they're returning from work and you're seeing like the 6 o'clock news or whatever, right? So there were very strategic times. So what ended up happening was an insider on John Tory's campaign got wind of this, that she was fundraising to buy these ads. So if you go on Twitter, there is an organization called the Anti-Hate Network, which is connected to one of the organizers for John Tory. Mm-hmm. And what this Anti-Hate Network did was they organized a mass phone call and a mass email campaign to stop Bell Media and to stop CP24 from running Faith's ads. Mm.
Well, I have it right here.
That's the part that people are missing, right? But that's still like that. In my view, that shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't have a campaign organizer from a leading mayoral campaign try and shut down another mayoral candidate, trying to stop them from running their ads, right?
No, that's
what that says to me is that Tory's campaign is scared. They're scared because they don't want to let Faith debate, and they're scared of the message that she brings.
Okay, hold on. Let's play a little bit of this clip here for our viewers and listeners to listen. She calls the guys for the thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I just don't want to be able to pay attention. Okay, so what's happening?
I'm sorry, we'll not be able to run the ads. We're very sorry for the inconvenience, and we're going to refund your money by next week.
Okay, so what's the reason for not being able to run our ads?
We won't be able to run the ads. We're sorry for the inconvenience, and we'll refund your money by next week.
I'm a mayoral candidate, and as I understand it, rules are such that equal opportunity and access to media space is to be offered to all mayoral candidates. So what's happening here?
Faith, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to run the ad. We're sorry for the inconvenience, and we'll refund your money by next week.
Is there a reason?
I'm sorry.
Where did these orders
we're
come
not
from?
Going to be able to run the ad.
Where did these?
I'm sorry for the inconvenience, and we'll refund your money by next week.
Where did these orders come from?
Faith, I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to run the ads. We're sorry for the inconvenience. We will refund your money by next week.
I say, you know what, guys? Boycott all the newspapers, media. Don't even give them the time of day. Unfollow them on Facebook. Unfollow them. I don't know why I keep getting stupid CNN crap on my phone on YouTube. I go through my YouTube, my stuff, my subscribers. I keep getting CNN crap. Guys, unsubscribe from all these media giants. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't give them anything. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, as a result of that call-in and that email campaign, then Buddy was given orders here. The Buddy who Faith was talking to on the phone was given orders to stop not stop the ads, but to make the call and tell Faith that they won't be able to run the ads, right? And so now, from what I understand, I've had a brief chat with Faith about this, and she's contemplating, and I think she will go through with this, file a formal complaint with the CRTC, because there's some provisions within the CRTC's mandate that mention that broadcasters are supposed to provide fair broadcasting for election campaigns. Right now, I don't know how far she's going to take it with respect to that complaint, and maybe she might file a lawsuit or whatever else happens after that. I'm not too sure, but I do know that she's going to pursue this further.
Yeah,
right?
that's
so.
Very,
aside from
that's actually very good. But can I ask you something? I want to ask you something, and I want your perspective on this. Okay.
Shoot.
A couple of years ago, I was watching the elections in Portugal. The election system in Portugal is very complicated. It's a very complex system. But anyways, I'm watching it to kind of understand it. Now, they have a conservative party. They have, Workers' Party. They have this. They have that. They have about 7 parties. They're all listed there. 8 parties. They're all listed. And you know what I saw there at the bottom of the list? A communist party. And they had a was a communist party, and there was one more party, a socialist party, the first Portuguese socialist movement, and the first Portuguese communist party, and they even had a sickle and one of those things, and you know what I'm saying?
The hammer and the sickle.
Yeah, but they're there, they're represented, they're at the bottom of the list, but they're still represented, and they're still on the political platforms, and they're debating their points. Why?
Right, they are.
But why doesn't Canada have, if people want to have a libertarian, a liberal... I know they do, but why aren't they all equally represented on some sort of a platform where you could see them all? Because I did not know that there was a communist party in Portugal that you could vote for. I did not know that. But they exist.
Well, yeah, that's true. They do exist. You know what? I think it is because of the way our electoral system is set up. Now, you have to understand how to play within the rules of the electoral system to get some sort of representation. Now, what I'm finding over, I would say, the last, probably say 5 or 6 years or so, with respect to Canadian politics, is that we've actually veered quite a bit to the left, and that usually creates sort of like a pendulum effect, where if mainstream traditional parties swing to the left, then there will be a vacuum or a power vacuum on the right, and then that's where sort of new parties spring up, right? Now, what I can tell you, at least from the municipal side is very different, because officially there are no parties.
Right.
However, there usually are allegiances that take place during municipal elections, depending on what the electoral climate is like. So I'll give you an example of how this happened over the last 8 years. So in 2010, there was an allegiance between the left, the Liberals, and the NDP when Rob Ford ran for mayor. Now, Rob Ford, at the time, was running against a former cabinet minister, George Smitherman, who was a Liberal. Like I said, the Liberals and the NDP teamed up, and Rob Ford won. Rob Ford won on a populist message of saving the taxpayers' money and putting Toronto first.
Yes.
Which is exactly what he did. Now, the media, the way they're behaving in the States is the same way that they behaved in Toronto during Rob Ford's years, where they were constantly attacking him, they were constantly following him. He was constantly being barraged with, all of these, with all of these, I don't want to say like baseless accusations, with basically minuscule issues that they were blowing out of proportion, right? And the electoral climate that was created by the media in 2014 was one of fear and embarrassment, to the point where the media basically took the side of John Tory. So what happened in the 2014 election cycle, the the climate, the political allegiance then was again putting the Liberals and the New Democrats together again on the municipal side, except they put a soft conservative face to it, which is who the current mayor is now, John Tory. So now, basically under John Tory's mayoralty, you didn't have the same type of media coverage that there was under Rob Ford. What that tells me is the establishment is happy with with basically John Tory's leadership and John Tory's mayoralty. So they're looking to keep him in, which is why there's not that much competition, at least from the right. Now, from our standpoint, we'd love to see Faith get elected as mayor. We like what she's saying. We like what she's standing for. We like the fact she's putting Toronto first. We like the fact that she's looking out for taxpayers. We like the fact that she wants to take care of the homeless and get rid of the illegals, and all these different things. And so here's the interesting thing that's happening in this particular election cycle is you have remember, like I said, there's no official political parties involved on the municipal side. However, there is a political allegiance between the Liberals and the soft conservatives in this election cycle. So you may remember during the provincial election, everybody hated the Liberals. And I mean everybody. To the point where, they got reduced provincially to 7 seats. And now their nickname is the Minivan Party because they only have 7 seats.
Minivan! Yes!
Yeah. Exactly. I know, that was freaking hilarious. But anyway, so on the municipal side, so that political allegiance still stands, and so you're not hearing this right now. This is why these debates are boring. You're not hearing anything about what Faith is talking about, and that's sort of the populist message that Faith Goldie brings, and the allegiance is threatened. The allegiance that Mayor John Tory has right now, politically speaking, is threatened by Faith. That's why they don't want her to debate. That's why they don't want her on stage. That's why they don't want her to get all this media attention.
Can I ask you something? When I first heard about this girl, I looked her up. And the first thing I saw was a Wikipedia page that was propped up and was the first thing that came up. And we discussed this last time when we talked.
Yes,
you go to her Wikipedia page. It's on lockdown. You can't even edit it, and it says she's a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, racist, and this and this and that. Could she sue? Could she sue that outfit for that? Because that's all garbage. Could they just say anything they want about somebody? Isn't that defamation?
To an extent, yes. And you know what? I haven't spoken to her about that personally, but I really would like to get her opinion on that. But if somebody did that to me, and I knew, and obviously I knew something like this was false, I definitely would sue for defamation, or at least fight to get it removed. At least fight to get it removed from the internet. Mm-hmm. I can't have lies about me out there like that. That is defamation. Yeah. So from that aspect, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. If you were to Google Faith Goldie right now, just say on the first page, see how many things you find positive and see how many things you find negative.
Okay, here we go. Then it's all this stuff. Toronto voters will reject Goldie's views. Then it's Wikipedia comes first. First thing is Wikipedia, calling her... It says, Faith Julia Goldie, born in 1989, is a Canadian politician, commentator. Goldie's views have been described as far-right with national neo-Nazi movements. Okay? Then you go down. It says, Faith Goldie doesn't want to be mayor of Toronto, says Globe and Mail. Which is a lie.
You know what the funny thing is? That was only written, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And it's on the front, right?
Yeah. It's right here.
Yeah. So basically what you're looking at is basically everything that's negative, right?
Mm-hmm. They did this with Donald Trump when Donald Trump was close to winning. A lot of the mainstream medias were putting out there that Trump dropped out of the race and he's not running anymore.
Jeez, these guys are nuts. Yeah, I hear you. Now, if you want to do the same thing, type in John Tory and see what you get.
Okay, John Tory.
See how much is positive and see how much is negative.
Wikipedia, Canadian politician serving as the 65th and current mayor of Toronto since 2014 after a career of a lawyer, political strategist. Oh my God! John Tory.
That sounds great, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, elected 65th. Mayoral candidate John Tory level with voters about what kind of affordable housing. Time to consider legalizing drinking in parks, Mr. Tory says. Oh, look at this great stuff. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
basically, remember what I spoke about, excuse me, a little bit earlier with the political allegiances, right? So basically, because what's going to happen is when people see, all this information in the news, naturally, they're going to want to find out more. So what do? They run to Google and they type in their name and then they see what they get.
Oh well, I got something. I got something right now. Oh yeah. John Tory, born May 28th, 1954, 64 years old. Spouse, Barbara Hackett, born 1978. So she's 40 and he's 64. She's 24 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Welcome to Toronto, buddy.
Wow. Anyways, okay. Yeah, I want you to touch on Kavanaugh real quick. What do you feel? Is he lying or are they just putting him through the ringer?
I think they're putting him through the ringer. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't been following the Kavanaugh story as much as most people have. Mm-hmm. But based on what I've seen, you know what? I think he's going to get nominated.
Yeah.
And I find it very, very peculiar that his accusers are coming out, several decades later.
37 years later.
Yeah.
Barry
exactly,
White,
right? It's funny. It's funny to watch people come out whenever somebody's either going to get elected to high office or somebody's going to get appointed to a really important position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's kind of bizarre. Yeah. Well, I'm really saddened to hear that you dropped out of the race, bud. Supporting you there.
No, hey, buddy, don't worry about it. You know what? Listen, I think that especially when you're getting involved in politics for the first time, you know what? I was actually cheering you on when you were initially deciding to run, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, and I've had a few chats with my political friends about this, and one of the important things during the political process, like when you're first starting to get involved and you really want to go for it, and you really want to make a difference and you really want to get elected, mm-hmm. one of the big important things is timing, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the timing isn't right, and you know what? Unfortunately for me, that was one of those instances, and I had to deal with that. And it's like, you know what? It's better to make friends so that you can you can deal with them and work with them in the future, right? So I mean, like that's basically how I saw it. And if I may, you know what? I actually wanted to touch on something with respect to federal politics and housing, mm-hmm. right? So.
Okay, hold on. We got housing people on here asking to talk about housing. So go ahead. Housing. Okay. What is going to happen?
Okay, let's put it this way. So I've been a card-carrying member of the Conservative Party for at least for 4 years now. Now, unfortunately, due to external circumstances, I wasn't able to make it to this year's convention. But they passed an interesting policy that I think, I'd really love to get your opinion on. Have you ever heard of something called CANZUK?
No.
It's called CANZUK. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, so basically what it stipulates is the free movement of people across the Anglosphere, or the Anglo-Saxon countries, including Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the UK. What do you think about that?
I mean,
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I said free movement of people and trade. There. Sorry.
okay, so we're talking about but the Portuguese already have that. Portugal, Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, São Tomé, Príncipe, and Timor-Leste have free trade, and they have this thing where they can live in each other's country with little to no hindrance.
Yes. So basically, CANZUK is the same. Along the same principle
With English
with
speaking.
the countries of
With English.
yeah with the
Okay.
speaking with Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, Commonwealth free. Yeah, but he's like a Commonwealth free movement. Yeah, pretty much.
It's good. It's okay. It's good. It could bring different talents, different points of views, different. But if we're living in this political landscape we're living in now, what the hell's the point anyway? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Right. Now, let me ask you this: what do you think that would have on the housing market if you have free movement of people like that?
Within English-speaking countries, well, everybody's within the
Yes.
same. Well, Moby. A lot of people are in the same income brackets in all these countries already.
Right.
So I don't think it will shift. I see little towns in Canada, and I see smaller towns in Australia, and I see smaller towns in New Zealand getting more populated. But
Okay.
I just don't see because a lot of these cities are severely overpriced. Everyone's within the same income bracket. Australia's median income level is the same, pretty much the same roughly the same as Canada. And the UK income brackets is for a nurse. Let's talk about a nurse. A nurse makes the same in Australia as in Canada and the UK. So in Ireland, they all pretty much make the same, and it's within wages. But the housing is just unaffordable. So that's what I see.
Right.
What do you see?
Well, okay, I see it slightly differently, and I say this because I like to use my sister as a good example. So she's a full-time nurse. She's been educated here in Ontario, and she's done some work here at Sunnybrook Hospital. Now, she's actually taken work in upstate New York because the pay is better. And she gets treated better by her administration, right? And she told me this point blank. And she goes back and forth between upstate New York and Toronto, but she works down there full time, right? And she has a green card, and she makes a much better wage down there. I think like upwards of 20% more, and we're talking American dollars, not Canadian dollars, right? So in that instance, I see. I don't know if we talked about this before, but there's a bit of a brain drain when it comes to specific sectors.
Oh, I've been talking about the Great Canadian Brain Drain for the last 5 years, buddy. And a lot of people emailing me, messaging me their stories. They moved to Florida, they moved to Georgia, they moved to South Carolina, they moved to Texas from Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I find what I find interesting is that obviously, with what Trump is doing right now, with respect to the tax cuts and the tariffs, obviously he's targeting specific industries to try to bring them back into his country. More specifically, I think we spoke briefly about this last time. The Rust Belt,
yes.
Being Wisconsin. Who are these? Wisconsin. Well, all
Michigan.
Yes, Michigan, Wisconsin, all those countries surrounding. I keep calling them countries. Sorry, those states that surround Lake Erie and Lake Huron, right? Mm-hmm. So all those industries that went away back in the, I think it was like 70s or 80s, wherever. He's trying to bring them back. Basically, the states that voted for him, and he's trying to bring jobs back there. Mm-hmm. What I find rather interesting with respect to the tariffs and this whole NAFTA negotiation is how much more we risk on our end if we don't give up supply management, right? Now, I guess for the people who are following, obviously supply management is a supply side system that protects dairy farmers and gives them quotas. right? But in the end, we the consumers end up paying, the 60 or 70% more for, poultry, milk, dairy, and all this other fun stuff. And if we don't give that up, then obviously, like Trump has stated several times that he'll put the tariffs on steel and cars and everything else. Now, when Trump says that, if he really does follow through, and I'm looking at this from the macro perspective and from the brain drain perspective, he's trying to bring those auto jobs and those automotive industries back to Wisconsin and back to Michigan, right? I mean, let's look at it from his point of view. He was the one. Those states elected him, and they elected him on the promise that he would bring jobs back, and that's exactly what he's doing. But you have to remember, there's a lot of people, at least in this country, either A, who don't like Trump because the media says so, or B, they just don't pay attention to what he says, right? And and much like the way the media covered Rob Ford in 2010 to 2014, the media is covering Donald Trump, and he's not. His words aren't being taken as seriously as they should be.
Right.
And as a result of that, he's just being dismissed. Well, okay, you can keep doing that. Well, let's see how far that gets us. Let's see how. And you know what? I might even think that may even be used as a cover if we actually do lose these automotive jobs and all these other industries. That could be a cover to say that, oh, we're entering into a recession now because of, say, I don't know, the failed NAFTA talks or something. Oh, and it's going to be Donald Trump's fault. And, look at Mr. Trudeau. He's standing up to Donald Trump, but we should elect him again. And I'm like, really? Like, that's sort of the way I see the political landscape in about 9 months from now, if that's the way the NAFTA negotiations go.
You know what it just reminds me of?
What's that?
WWF wrestling.
And you know what the thing is? I like WWF wrestling.
And it's all the commentary in the back. See, it's all the commentary before they get in the ring that makes it so action-packed, right?
Right, absolutely.
And this is what they're doing, and I just see it like that, and it's really sad the way things are headed. You know what I'm saying? Okay, anything else you want to add? And then I'm gonna let you go. I got a couple of guests lined up for tonight. Anything else?
Okay, cool. You know what? I think I've pretty much covered what I want to say.
Well, you're going to be start covering all the politics everywhere. Start reading up on a bit of Venezuela. Start reading up a bit on some of the geopolitics in North America, and we'll have you as our political advisor on the show whenever you want to come on.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, because maybe give us a download on what's happening in Venezuela. I have somebody I could bring on the show from Venezuela, but he doesn't speak any English. I could talk to him in Spanish and we could have a conversation, but I'm going to have to translate what I'm saying to him, and then I'm going to have to translate back what he's saying to me so that people could understand. But he's on the ground. He's boots on the ground, and he was one of the guys. He was one of the guys that raided one of the supermarkets like a week and a half ago. So.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I'm not joking. But the problem is he just doesn't speak any English. So it's really hard for me to communicate. Then he said he could get his cousin on, but he doesn't speak any English too. But his cousin speaks Portuguese. And I'm like, well, I need to still translate back to English. Right?
This whole language barrier thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I hear you. Okay. All right, so I think I'll call it a night, but I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop with what's going on with respect to the election here. And I'll definitely
keep the pulse on. Keep us on the pulse on Faith Goldie.
Absolutely,
keep us on the pulse. We want to know what's happening, and let her know that we're here in every English-speaking country. We are supporting her.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We're rooting for her.
Yes. Thank you so much, Moby. I appreciate that. Thank you for your insights, and have a good night, brother.
You too, Mike. Take care.
Goodbye. Okay, that's Moby. He had a discussion with Faith Goldie a day or two ago about what's been happening. So, what is with the drama what's with all the drama? What is with the drama? Oh my goodness. And the politics is turning into old fashion wrestling. You know, when the guy's in the back room saying, I'm going to get you when I get you in the ring. And it's like, guys, okay, I know politics is a whole ring-a-ding, you know, shenanigans and a show to get yourself in there. But stop bashing each other and creating stuff that's not even true. So, okay, there's a lot of fighting going on in the comment section. A lot of fighting going on with Kevin Thompson. He's picking fights with a lot of people in the comments section. I'd like to know why, but everyone is, cracking down on him a bit here. And Formafist is in the comments section. Really good channel, guys. Don't forget to check him out. He's got some really good videos. Really well put videos. A lot of my stuff is all... My videos are just, hey guys, Mike Martin's here. Formafist really takes the time to edit, do a good job, and explain things a bit better than I do. And he's in the comments section here. And, so everybody's in the comment section going nuts. We got a couple of more guests to bring on. We have our truth expert in Hong Kong we're going to contact in a few minutes here. So, okay, let's go over what's going on here real quick. Let me see if my other guy is awake still. And let's see if my guy is still awake before we head out to the Orient. Let's see if my guy is still awake. Let me check here. Mario, are you in the comments? Mario, where are you? You in the comments, buddy? He's probably sleeping because it's like 1 o'clock in... Like, I had this last guest that I had on right now. It's like 1:30 in the morning there out east. So, so he's not there. So the comments are going nuts right here. Formafist says we're here to party. Wait for the crash, then we buy. And then Mia Nino says not to participate, but to take over. And then Mr. E says that's me. And when there's blood on the streets, time to buy. Go buy a house and check back in a week. Yeah, so Kevin Thompson is pushing people to pick up real estate. Really, really pushing people to buy real estate. And it's very disturbing what he's doing, which he's allowed to do what he wants to do. But I don't think right now is a good time to buy. And do we have anyone out east that's still awake, guys? Anybody in Ontario, Toronto, Barrie? I guess everyone hit the hay, right? Yeah. So it looks like everyone hit the hay. It's already 1:30 there. Okay, so we're going to move out to... Yeah, it's 1:26 in the morning. Yeah, we're going to move out to our truth analyst here. Let's get him on the show. Hopefully he can give us a little bit of insight on what the heck is going on. Oh, there's a long... Oh, wow, there's a long message here. Good day, Delusional Mike. This one is on Skype. Where are those people now? Brace yourself. Here, never stop making videos. A video just a few weeks old in the investors channels explaining how a house from 1 million will reach 16 million and even 30 million, explaining in serious numbers and alternative facts. Real science here, no jokes. Okay, well, it's Evan calling in. Hello?
Hello.
It's our truth expert, Evan. I was just reading a long-winded message on Skype there, but I'll have that person on Wednesday night on trends in the housing market. Okay, buddy. Before we kick it off, how are things? You doing okay?
Oh, everything's fine here. They've cleaned up the entire island's worth of driftwood, and all the trains are on time again. Everything's fine.
For people that don't know, Evan is in Hong Kong, and there was a huge hurricane there. And,
another one coming.
Oh, I remember when you were in the middle of the hurricane when you called us?
Oh, that was great fun.
Okay, let's kick off. Brett Kavanaugh's. What's your perspective on this, buddy? Tell me.
Okay. Okay, let's cut at this onion a few ways. First thing, if you listen to the female, if you can call them that, testimony, a lot of them don't make sense. They're missing a lot of details, of course. You know, oh, I wasn't there. I can't remember a single thing, but I know he did it. You know, that kind of thing. And really, the last one, that woman, the one with the bespectacled woman, or man, hard to tell. But anyway, according to her testimony, she was 2 years older than him. Therefore, she would be breaking the law, not him, at the time. But people don't pay attention to that. Nor do they pay attention to, immediately at the same time, funnily enough, while everyone was busy with Kavanaugh, is the tax cuts. Tax cut 2.0, $3.9 billion lost. Trillion. Add 3 more zeros. Lost over 10 years. Tax breaks for the rich. Did you know that, Mike? I sent it to you, by the way.
Yes, see, I did look it over, but I was very tired because our time differences are huge.
Oh, yes, most certainly. But they always do that. Whenever there's a national story, anything very big, there's always something else in the background without fail.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just like that, what the Pentagon got hit by a plane and it hit all the computers where that trillions of dollars went missing?
Well, hold on a minute. They've changed their story on that. If you recall, at the beginning of that story, nobody was there, and it was being renovated. What a coincidence. And Donald Rumsfeld was on the Pentagon lawn. Within 2 minutes of it happening, he must be able to run pretty quick, because it's quite a distance. But with that stretcher, if you recall. And he was the one who allegedly sold plutonium to North Korea in that deal in the, I believe it was the 70s at the time. But, you know, a lot of things tend to intertwine, don't they? Especially 9/11, you know, Building 7. No one talks about 9/11 anymore because it's not popular. You know, everyone's talking about identity and race, but 9/11 still happened the way they said it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Building 7 collapsed due to carpet fire, and the BBC reported on it 20 minutes before it had collapsed. That tells me that either they knew in advance or they have very good time machines. And I think it might be prior knowledge, if I were to be honest.
Yeah, I'm working. Okay. So now, Mr. Kavanaugh, did you watch that 45-minute thing I sent you?
Oh, yes. It goes on, doesn't it?
But I mean,
a lot of facial expressions and a lot of tears, Mike. It's as if they're trying to make you feel emotional.
I was very emotional watching that, and you know why?
Oh, they got you, Mike.
They got me, but you know what? This guy, this trashing of politicians, especially the ones that want to make the change for the best, they got to stop trashing these people. Why aren't they looking at all other things? So, okay, let's move on to this. Kavanaugh chaos must be putting a smile on Willie Clinton's face.
Yes, I suppose, because everyone's falling for it. All the people in the system would be smiling while everyone's distracted. But I mean, back to Kavanaugh. I mean, the only reason they made a show is because it sucked people in. You get several results from that. First, people aren't watching the tax law go through that, you know, cripples middle income businesses. But the other thing you're not paying attention to, whoa, almost fell out of the chair. It's very exciting here, Mike. I almost fell out of my chair. But anyway, because it was so exciting. But I'm half in my chair now, just as a play-by-play report. But anyway, what was I saying before I fell out of my chair? That's right. People are going to mimic the behavior, aren't they? Monkey see, monkey do. It encourages those sort of false accusations, like you had with that mattress girl, which was a farce, and all the other feminist talking points that they have been pushing heavily lately to get everyone to shut up and not talk about anything, to destroy social discourse. Imagine if you're a man in politics. What's his name, the Vice President, Mike Pence?
Yes.
He doesn't talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how he's a politician anymore.
He's a very tough nut to crack, that guy. That guy, it's hard to get a smile out of him. But if you start sewing or start putting the quilt together, you start completing the puzzle here, because I just found this out today because I didn't know this. 20 years ago, Brett Kavanaugh drafted tough questions for Bill Clinton. So he was the one, Washington, 20 years ago, sitting U.S. President Bill Clinton was ordered to answer a series of excruciating questions about this sexual relationship with a 22-year intern. So do you think it's lash against him?
Okay, I'm going to throw something even more interesting out there, Mike. Still Bill Clinton related. Remember when Bill Clinton had to admit MK Ultra?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I did.
What was his facial expression like when they got caught? Whenever the bad guys actually get caught, it's all smiles. He had a smile the entire time, even though he was mentally torturing thousands upon thousands of people under his watch.
Yep.
He was just the PR guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Kavanaugh would have been the PR guy for the current distraction. They run PR really well, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the next one.
Yes.
So Brett Kavanaugh, FBI contacts second woman. Okay, this is something, some sort of a recourse. Now when they go through all this and the lie detectors, this and all that, are these people going to be charged for treason or something? Like,
No, not at all, Mike, because think about it. Here's a good question for you. It's totally related, yet unrelated. Where's ISIS gone? Remember ISIS?
Yes.
No one talks about that.
Isn't it-
This is
isn't
flavor
it-
of the week, Mike.
isn't it ISIL or
Oh, they change flavor all the time. Doesn't really matter, Mike, you know. But the thing is, they're only on the TV when it's convenient for their agenda. Kavanaugh's only on the TV now because it's convenient for their agenda. They can get a lot of social policy and narrative out of spinning him, whether or not he's innocent, guilty, or totally uninvolved. It doesn't really matter. They still use him as a tool, as an engine to drive their agenda.
Interesting. Okay, someone in the comment section is saying, Mike, will we talk about real estate soon after politics? Guys, just so you know, guys, Saturday nights is Mike in the Night. I think Formafist is doing a show. I could see it here. He's going to be going live. So if you want to jump on real estate, go check out our second channel, Formafist, and he is got an important show for you guys. So we're going to stick with our truth analyst here, and we're going to be discussing this polka dancing or this drama or this, I don't even know how to put it, shenanigans. Shenanigans.
Punch and duty.
Yep, shenanigans in the thing
Hold on, Mike. Just in regards to the comments, I know Kevin Thompson's a nice fella. You know, he's got this biscuit factory he's paying off, but you know, he's quite literally staring everybody. Kevin, if you're there, you should get on the show and defend yourself one day. That'd be nice. You should get him on, Mike.
I've been trying. I keep reaching his secretary.
Well, the problem, you see, every time you try to get him on, he's already had a biscuit, so he's useless. Poor Kevin.
Yeah. Okay. So, no punishment. Okay.
No punishment. Only reward for them who control the media.
Okay. So apparently now Sweetnick, Brett Kavanaugh accuser face misconduct allegations at Portland company. Apparently she's done some bad in a Portland company. One of the accusers against him.
Won't surprise. They'll have both sides playing off against each other, so you've got this constant divide where everyone is still focused on the same topic. It's really about controlling where you're looking, Mike. That's the main thing. Remember that guy, Strzok? He's got a really funny name. You know, that evil smiling guy who had the Senate Commission FBI guy?
Mm-hmm.
And he had the cheeky little smile on his face?
Yeah.
He was, no one talks about him either, and he hasn't been held accountable. Yeah, Bill Clinton, no one talks about him until he's dragged out in his wheelchair. You know, until no one's been held accountable. Bush hasn't been held accountable. No one's held accountable, Mike. What a surprise. It's as if the same pattern repeats itself.
But everyone's committing high treason. It's like...
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah, but they don't fight each other. They work together. Remember, it's a puppet show, Mike, as you said.
Yeah, and so it's
Your
like...
words, not mine.
Professional wrestling or WWF in the back, they're all friends, and then they're putting on.
Hold on. Who shaved Vince McMahon's head? Donald Trump. He was in WW.
That's right.
Are you going to give him a free pass, Mike? Hope not. I wouldn't give anyone a free pass. Trust nobody. Make up your own mind, as your first caller said. But then he talks about politics. So I don't know. If you're making up your own mind, then why are you waiting for a politician to tell you what to think? You know, it doesn't really make sense. But that's my 2 cents on politics anyway, Mike.
Okay,
it's quite interesting.
I need your input on this. Faith Goldie getting ushered off stage and not allowed to speak.
Well, how controversial do you want me to go, Mike?
Well, I mean, she's basically telling. Okay, every politician's going to tell what they want to. Basically, want to tell people what they want to hear. Okay.
That's right.
But I really think in my heart of hearts that this girl really wants to change, like for real. Like I know we've heard this from many politicians, but I really believe in her. I really believe in her that she could do what she can within her boundaries. Because as a mayor, you're very limited on what you could do with funding, surpluses. You got loans, collateral. After collateral, you got to look at what you have left over in contingency funds. So there's quite a bit of little. There's very little she could. Well, she could try to do as much as possible, but what's left in the contingency funds is almost nothing once you pay the city's debt off and whatever the city owes and whatever loans it's got. So I know she wants to do the best she could do. Why are they blocking her out so bad that they had to refund her back her campaign money so she could advertise in the local papers?
Well, Mike, here's the question. If she was really being blocked, you wouldn't hear anything about her. You'd be an unperson, right? There'd be no news stories running about her, yet there are. So the act of being blocked hasn't really blocked her necessarily. In fact, it's created what would you call it? The alternate media to rally around her, giving everyone more publicity, not unlike Kavanaugh, everyone being distracted by the drama. YouTube people do it all the time. They have fake issues with people, and then they have this YouTube argument about it, and all it does is herd in more sheep, if that makes sense, Mike. Mm-hmm. Lots of sheep being herded today. Bad shepherds. All leaving the church, all going to their false idols, Mike. Mm-hmm. Faith Goldie, the bronze statue.
Well, guys, I just want to say I got her Facebook up here. Guys, don't. How come you're not here? I don't see you here, Evan.
On Faith Goldie. I've got to stick to Ephesians 5, Mike, and expose the liars.
That's true. That's true. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Yeah. So this is her getting a refund back. That's her with the mayor of. They're calling her a white nationalist now. Okay, I got this one for you, and I didn't even tell you about. I did not tell you about this. So
okay, it must be a good one.
Oh, this is a good one, but this is actually it kind of hurts a bit because I have children, and it says liberal propaganda. CBC launches kids' new shows covering transgenderism, marijuana. So now the CBC, which is like the CNN of Canada, they have like a new kids show, new kids news for children.
Okay, yes. They've done that a few times. It comes out every 5 or so years, the new kids stuff.
And how does it? What does it strike a chord with you? Because I got kids. How do you?
Course.
So tell us, break it down.
Don't let them watch TV. That's you control what they watch. Don't let the TV control what you watch. First thing, you've got to have responsibility as a parent, of course. You should see what they're seeing before they see it. If you're to guard them, it's like food. If you know there's poison in food, you won't let the child eat it. If there's poison on television, which most assuredly there is at every possible angle, you wouldn't let them watch it. But, transgender marijuana plants, you might get Kevin Thompson interested talking about such a subject.
So this is scary. It's very scary.
It is. But it's top to bottom. TV, even if you look at old television, you'll see what they've hidden in it. It's very obvious once you know. And then you go, gee whiz, I used to watch this garbage. They've got there's a cartoon on Cartoon Network. It's a cross-dressing schoolboy who uses lipstick powers and he dresses in a dress, and they almost all of them have that. You look at Ren and Stimpy, it's not for kids. You look at anything on Nickelodeon, not for kids. It's designed for the perverted people who make it.
So,
and they are perverted.
I don't mind what people do or what they do, how they run their lives, or how they, as long as they're not hurting or harming anybody else, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? But I don't go around pushing my, heterosexualism and pushing, let's have a heterosexual class and a heterosexual parade. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what people do.
Well, they're the fish in the aquarium. They're the pet of society, the homosexuals and the degenerates, Mike. That's all they are. They're used to get the minority vote to subjugate the majority. That's all they're used for. And as soon as they're not useful anymore, look what happened to the blacks. Who talks about blacks anymore? Black Lives Matter, no longer an issue. All trans, this and that these days. Isn't that funny?
Yep, they always move to the next biggest thing, and then they use them. Yep. And then they chuck them away.
That's right. And if you buy into it, they will use you too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
you become an accessory. Remember, you said that I don't care what people do as long as they don't hurt anybody. But what if someone does the wrong thing, doesn't hurt anybody, but they've done the wrong thing? Your charge, as I understand it, Mike, and mine as well, anyone who's a Christian, is to warn the man of their wicked ways. Otherwise, you're culpable at the day of judgment, Mike. So you'd have to tell him. I have to tell him. Can't help myself.
You're like, yeah, but you were confirmed, right?
Very popular, I can tell you.
Evan, were you baptized?
No. Oh, baptized by fire and misery. That's about all, Mike.
Okay.
We could argue theology, but this is Mike in the Night. I think your theological show's on Monday.
Yes. Yeah, theological show is on Mondays, but I never show up.
That's right. Too busy.
Okay. So, breaking news. Elon Musk settles with SEC, will stay on as CEO, but step aside as chairman. What is going on? I know there's alleging frauds going on with the SEC and different things in securities agencies that's happening. Have you followed this at all, Evan?
Very much so. You'd be surprised, but I follow Mike. But this is how I would explain it to you. CEOs are changing hands all at the same time. Commonwealth Bank CEO just changed. Westpac CEO is about to change. Monadelphous in Australia and the UK is about to change their CEO. Oh no, they already did. And now Elon Musk, right when they can't fulfill any of their orders, not unlike what Harley Davidson did. If you remember the Harley Davidson, they had 500,000 bikes that weren't built yet, but were ordered, and they just took the money and more or less ran. They're terrible bikes anyway. They've still got the death wobble from the 60s. Figure that one out. They never solved the problem. But the point is, as the company's in trouble, as the company's struggling to meet its demands, they're moving Musk out of the way so they can have a new fall guy, same as the Australian Prime Minister. No one even knows his name. What's the Australian Prime Minister's name that wasn't voted in by anybody, but they just swapped hands? Do you remember, Mike? Yeah, it's hard to remember. Scott Morrison, no one remembers his name.
No, that's
Gordon
right.
Gordon Brown.
That blew over my head. I'm thinking, I know what you're talking about, but I just don't remember the guy's name or face.
No, he's the nobody that will be the fall guy. That's the thing. It's a public relations scam from top to bottom. They want to control your mind and make you believe that these politicians have your best interest at heart. They say, I am for the people, but I was trained at a Jesuit college. Then again, Donald Trump was trained at a Jesuit college.
Nice.
So we'll have to see how he goes too.
Okay, so that's what's happening with that. Change of hands. Oh, working on it. One of our followers here.
That's the lady.
Yeah, she's over here working on it. She's got a channel, guys. I did not know she had a channel. I would have plugged her channel a long time ago. I did not know. So here she is. She's on the phone with me sometimes. I get her on the show from time to time. We did the video together called Deadminton. Edmonton is becoming Deadminton. And, there's her channel there. Okay, so let's give us a little bit of an analysis, Evan. What do you see? What do you think? Did you watch my predictions for the next quarter?
could sum them up in one word. Oh, 2 words. I'll make it 2 words, Michael. Sum it up in 2 words. Not good. Is that the prediction?
Well, no, I was predicting that oil was going to go up, and
it's going to. Well, here's the thing. Yesterday in Australia, in Western Australia, just as an example, the fuel prices jumped about 5 cents, which is unheard of. Doesn't happen. And in Australia, when the fuel prices go up and down, this is interesting. The news will come out and spin it and say, "Oh, it's the fuel cycle." Right? Whatever that means. It's just a buzzword. Doesn't mean anything. This magic fuel cycle. But now it's gone up 5 cents. They haven't said anything about this cycle anymore. It's as if it were only a convenient excuse to shut people up. Like most things are.
Okay, so do you see the price of oil going up?
It'll have to, won't it? Because you'll have depreciating values in Western countries. They might change supplier. I mean, Venezuela, it seems like they're going to send a political jackal in to finish them off, and then I don't know if it will be American occupation or they'll just put another dictator in like they did with Muhammad Karzai in Afghanistan.
Okay, because global tensions... Global tensions. What's on your radar right now? What's the biggest global tension right now outside of all this media mumbo jumbo crap that's all over the place and people pointing fingers at each other? Evan, in your heart of hearts, what is the biggest political tension that no one's looking at?
Lies, Mike. That's what they're not looking at. Well, they're looking at them, but they don't know they're lies. Biggest political tension would be...
No, global tension. Global tension.
Oh, food.
Yeah.
Food price.
Yeah.
It's going to be the easiest one because everyone's interdependent. I can buy cheaper, top quality Australian beef here, all organic, all pasture raised, for cheaper than the worst quality steaks you'll buy in the supermarket in Australia. And it won't have sulphur all over it, so it's grey on one side and pink on the other. And we get the better cut here, and the Australians are left with nothing. Do you know how much ginger costs in Australia, Mike?
It must be up there if you're asking me.
Well, per kilo, how much do you think it's worth? And it's gone up, by the way, but on average, what do you think it's worth?
A kilo of ginger? Good ginger?
Regular ginger, worst ginger you can imagine.
Okay, $65 a key?
Oh, okay. Pretty accurate guess. I was surprised. But you know, it's a weed. It grows everywhere. But you're not allowed to pick it yourself. Health department will come along and say, "Do you have a license, mate?" And you won't have a license, of course. So they'll take your ginger away and fine you thousands of dollars. I could tell you some restaurant stories, mate. I was a chef before, once upon a time. And we used to have tubs of meat, 40-kilo tubs of meat, all frozen. They get delivered in these containers, high-density polyethylene. And, of course, they've got legs to stand on the floor. Obviously, the meat's not touching the floor. Health department comes in and says, "Those are touching the floor. Those aren't clean anymore." And you say, "Okay, what if I put this piece of paper under each leg?" "Oh, that would be fine." "Okay, I'll do that." "No, sorry, you've already broken the rules. We're stealing your stock, and here's a $20,000 fine."
Wow.
Kind of
Wow.
Well, harnesses, Mike. You want to climb in a roof, you have to put a harness on, or else. And it's more dangerous to put the harness on than to actually do the job. All sorts of things I could tell you. Regulated into the ground, but then you've got foreign countries. I mean, Hong Kong, we still use bamboo scaffolding because it works.
Okay.
And bamboo.
Okay. So, what is in your opinion? Give us some insight. What else? What else do we have for global tensions? What do you see happening? I know you're in Hong Kong, but do you hear about what's happening in the South China Sea with the island of China creating these war islands?
Yes. Well, they're artificial islands. They scuttle ships and then they use seeding to enhance coral growth so you get a mineralization, and then they can call it an island, then they can plant their flag in it, and they can take it over. But on the other side of the South China Sea, you've got Singapore stealing islands to get the sand off them. There's a very good documentary called Sand Smuggling, where they can quite literally pump the sand off these Indonesian islands and these Philippine islands that are unguarded, and then they use that for their foundations and land reclamation. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I saw that documentary. I saw that. I got some images up here of them scooping out some of the sand. And
Well, they do it at a massive scale, Mike. It's colossal. Islands gone in a day, you know.
so they basically plant the flag and extend their military reach.
Yes, that's all it's for, territorial claim. But, I mean, people don't respect those anyway. Look at Australia's fishing waters. Australians aren't allowed to fish in their own waters. Like
Wow.
commercially, privately, there are high restrictions. But the Japanese or the Indonesians or the Vietnamese can bring their boats all the way along and fish whatever they like, unrestricted, because they're immune to our laws, aren't they?
Wow.
Isn't that funny? And the fish price.
Do you see the devaluing currency of the yuan?
Not yet. Not yet. I think Australia will crash, and that will give them impetus to keep the yuan where it is, because then they can buy out more things with a stronger yuan, can't they?
Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, China has their finger in almost every single pocket, and they've got that One Belt, One Road initiative. They can go by train directly to Spain from China now, with freight trains.
is that working now? Is that assembled? Is that good to go? Or is that...
A year ago they had that. But, I mean, they can't do it in Australia because even the states in Australia can't agree on a single railway gauge. So you've got narrow gauge in Queensland, standard gauge in New South Wales, wide gauge in Western Australia. So you can imagine how inefficient, it would be for the Chinese if they sent the railway to Australia. You'd have to change hands at every line.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Talk about efficient.
So,
but the Chinese don't want to get all the way to Vladivostok via Russia.
wow. So,
And the Russians want to get that island that's right next to Japan. So you could even have, which they're proposing, the 70-mile bridge across from Vladivostok to the neighboring islands in the Kamchuk Sea.
wow. That must be... Why don't they just tunnel it out? Why don't they just go underwater?
I guess the reason why they use a bridge is because it's obviously deep enough already. You can't have a tunnel if it's too deep. And there is a narrower point. Like if you look at the map where the island is off Vladivostok, it's if you've been to Vladivostok, very nice place, beautiful weather, very nice people.
Mm-hmm.
Come to Australia, horrible place, horrible weather. Everyone's on drugs. But no, the depth, they need to have a certain depth to lay their pillars. That's
Okay.
the only. It's going to be a 6-lane double railway super bridge, and then you got the ones in Italy just collapsing because we've just got to feed those migrants. Humanitarian issue, blah blah blah. They say just got to feed everybody in Italy.
I have a friend on the ground there in just outside of Rome, maybe 20 kilometers outside of Rome, and he's telling me that everybody around him, like everybody on the streets, everyone panhandling, everyone selling food on the streets, the restaurants are having a really tough time because everyone's buying cheap food on the streets and not going into the restaurants to eat. And he's telling me that everybody around him is from Bangladesh.
Does not surprise me. But here's the question. Last time I checked a map, Mike, Bangladesh was east of India. So I don't remember Italy being next to India. Do you remember that, Mike?
Yeah, I see Bangladesh here. I see.
Ah.
I see. Yeah. So I'm not sure. How did they get there?
They fly there. They've got agencies for this sort of thing. They get flown there, and then they say, "I'm a refugee. UN, protect me." And the government, of course, is very obliging. But if they came from Russia or the Ukraine or anywhere in Eastern Europe, like the Bosnians, for example, from Sarajevo, for example, someone flies from Sarajevo, go back to your own country, immediately deported. Double standards, most certainly. Because they're following the Kleurdenhof Kalergi plan, which is to make everyone coffee-coloured in the new millennium, so that you have no national identity and everyone's just a big grey mess. Isn't that lovely, Mike?
It is.
Well, then you've got the lady in Sweden. What was it, Margaret Spector, I think her name was.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, we're going to erase the European identity, and we Jews. Now, when they talk about Jews, there are two types of Jews. You don't want to get into Jews unless you want to get flagged, Mike. So, but the basis of it was people with influence who may or may not be Jewish deliberately pushing the discourse towards importing all these immigrants. already done that. That was a very old interview too.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a person that I want to have on the show from Stockholm, Sweden. He wants to come on the show and kind of give us a little bit of insight on what's happening there on the ground. And,
they've got the no-go zones, and all the migrants seem to have hand grenades for some reason, but the local people can't get hand grenades. How are they getting these hand grenades and all these weapons?
But isn't a hand grenade considered a military grade issued weapon?
Yes, it is. Yes, a fragment grenade is military issue. But then you've got the police in America, can't use hollow points but do.
Okay. But do you think it could be somebody could have raided a barrack somewhere?
I doubt it. I'm pretty sure. You think about it, in Canada, you've got the pot being circulated by police, more or less. In Australia, you've got the same thing. They seize the drugs, redistribute them with their moles, and the cycle is rinse and repeat. So, it wouldn't surprise me if weapons are any different. The British supplied people with weapons, all the manufacturers, all the major NATO countries constantly arming people. Good film, Nicolas Cage, Lord of War. That's a good one. Talks about Liberia, kind of gives you a truthful version of events in a fictitious scene, where they have the gun runners.
Okay. And, hold on, I got a thing here. Somebody called me something. As I said before, Portuguese redneck wannabe with nothing to say but read agreeing articles, unsubscribed. So this person actually lives in my town. This person is
Hold on, Mike. You're done for. He's unsubscribed. What are you going to do?
I'm finished. No, but this guy has actually been harassing me and my family since I pretty much moved to town.
Well, you know what they say, Mike. You can talk to someone till you're blue in the face, but a fist is universal. You've got to stand up with your little boots and your big hat and go over and have a stern talking to him, I think. Yeah,
well, no, there's no point in that.
Legal protection, right?
No, there's no point in that because I've already tried. Look. I got, she put her video up finally. Working on it.
Oh, good. It's good that people who have different views are putting up videos like that fella, E. Benkyo. He's very good. He puts up all sorts of interesting things. Should get him on the show, Mike. He's pretty good.
Yeah. So this guy's calling me a lying sack of shit. This guy has several fake. Which
part did they get right, Mike? The sack or the lies, or none of it?
Yeah.
Picking on you, Mike. I'm picking on you.
Yeah. So this guy's been a big problem for me since I moved to town. So he's been getting me on social media, YouTube. He's been getting me on Facebook. Man, he's been nonstop with this guy. And
remember, Mike, we've got to be persecuted for the truth. People like that will show up, and they do. They come out of the woodwork. Can be your own family, can be your friends. They'll all betray you if you've got the truth. Don't you? So stand tall. Stand 5'6" tall, Mike.
So, anyways, Foreman Fist saying, Mike, I want to talk to your face. In all capital.
What does that mean?
In all capital letters. And then.
I read it.
Yeah, and then working on it, saying, I don't know why it was unlisted. So there's her video there, working on it. Promised us she's going to put up videos on what is happening.
Yeah, with the secret detective glasses, right? She's got the camera glasses and she's undercover.
Oh, yeah.
She's got sunglasses on indoors.
Yeah, we're going to use her going into secret areas that, she could sneak into for us. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you've got to be careful, though, because she's a lady. She should really go, with at least two other people, because you know how homeless are when they think they're being made fun of? They get quite aggravated. Or just drug addicts, for that matter. You can't really predict what a drug addict will do. So, beware, young ladies. Be careful.
So, Foreman Fist is saying, if you aren't talking in capital letters, you aren't talking.
Oh, yeah, the all caps argument. That's true.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I think your commenters are generally all right, Mike. You get some good people in there. I'm there occasionally in two people, arguing with myself.
Oh.
And if it's not Kevin somebody else.
So, okay, Evan, what else do you see brewing? What do you see brewing in the?
How about we go slightly theological? All of the churches have more or less been converged. If you're a religious man, and I know you are, you should be very worried about the implications of Vatican II.
So
what are your thoughts on the Vatican, Mike?
You know what? I really don't. It's so far out of reach. I don't follow it. I just don't. To be honest, I just don't care what's happening in the Vatican because
they're not your leaders, right?
Yeah, the religious leaders, yeah, but they do convey messages down the line to the priests and the bishops and the cardinals.
Oh yes, most certainly. But what I'm saying is, would you say you put your faith in the Pope of Rome, or do you put your faith in Christ?
Well, obviously in Christ.
Exactly. So, you've got the Martin Luther view of the Vatican then. But, it's quite sad because this convergence is happening everywhere. You've got female bishops, you've got transgender bishops, you've got everything rotting the church to the core. My advice for people is, don't worry about the church. If you have the truth, find people who have the truth, and then you are church. Don't worry about these organizations that suck up like a vacuum cleaner all your money. Don't do that. Don't, what is it? A fool in their money are soon parted. Yes?
Yes, that's
and a lot of people, a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with this apostolic reformation. I don't know if you know about that. Do you know about the NRA? NAR, sorry.
I know the NRA. I don't know. What's the NAR? I know the NRA. What's the NAR?
Well, it's slightly different. Basically, they're going to create an umbrella corporation of all these churches who are basically heretical churches. Who would be a good example of someone like that? Well, think of any of the televangelist churches that are on American television.
Jimmy Swaggart.
That's one. There you go. Keep going. What's that Protestant guy? I forget his name. He's always smiling. Canadian guy, I think. He's always on Oprah. He deals with the Protestant churches, but his name's escaped me, sadly. But most of those people who are on television are quite literally deceivers. You've got to be careful.
So are you trying to say... Okay, well, hold on a sec. So you're trying to say you watch Oprah?
No, but I watch enough of everything that I've watched everything, if that makes sense. People send me stuff all the time, Mike, and I go, oh, yeah, that's interesting. It's like movies. It's much quicker to read the movie than it is to watch the movie.
Right.
Movies go 3 hours these days. Infinity War, what was that? 2 days worth of movie I had to watch? And it was terrible. My last gift to my brother before I was exiled. But anyway, yeah, films aren't getting any better. They're getting longer, and they're justifying higher budgets, higher ticket prices, and people go watch them. People go to church, higher budgets, higher ticket prices, and people still watch them. Same pattern. No business like show business, Mike. You know the song.
I want to ask you something. Real quick.
Oh,
what was the last movie you went to go see in the movie theater?
I told you, Mike. I just told you. Jeez, Mike, pay attention.
No. I heard you...
Infinity War was the last one.
Yes,
The Avengers Infinity War.
Okay. The last movie I went to see in theater, I think, was Titanic.
Oh, well, that's not a good movie either. Except for the I like practical effects, Mike, like Predator and Alien. They're actual, latex puppets, that kind of thing. It looks a lot better than the CGI garbage they're vomiting out rapidly. Everything's on a green screen and just doesn't look real. No,
that's right. Okay, Evan, buddy, it was really good to have you on, bud. We've been talking for quite a while. I'm going to have Anton on the show.
It's a good choice.
Anton's on the show. He's going to tell us 10 reasons why he's leaving Sydney, Australia, and what is happening with him on the ground there.
I think they made a film. It was the sequel to Escape from LA. He must be starring in it. Does he have an eye patch? Can I call him Snake?
Snake Plissken.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a hologram all along. Press the button. But anyway, I'll let you go, Mike.
Thank you so much, Evan. Hopefully we could get you. We could get some good topics brewing for next time's show, and you could be our truth analyst and give us a lowdown on what's happening behind the curtain.
Behind the iron curtain and the bamboo one. We'll see you next time, Mike.
Have a good night.
See you.
Goodbye. So that was our man on the ground, Evan, who is on the ground there in Hong Kong. And Mr. E, Evan, our boy. So let's get, where's Anton? Anton, where are you, buddy? I can't find you here. Is your name Anton on the, here we go. Let's get him on the show here.
Hello.
Anton, what's up, buddy?
There's a bit of a delay.
Oh, lower the volume on the show if you're watching it live. There'll be a... Can you hear? Is it okay?
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, I could just hear Mr. E still talking.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, so 10 reasons why you're leaving Sydney. What's going on, buddy?
Okay, so I just whacked up this list before the show started today because, like last weekend, you said you wanted to do this. So I did up this list. It's because our housing affordability is out of control, with Sydney being the worst, and there's a mass exodus happening in Sydney at the moment, and it's a pretentious, stressful trap. So I guess we can discuss like why you want to leave Sydney or avoid it completely.
So let's kick off. Yeah. Number 10.
Oh, you want to go from the bottom up?
Well, we want to go from the least to the most, or the most to the least. How did you write it out?
Oh, okay. Well, number 1 was the most. So
let's go from number least, 10. Number 10.
Okay, number 10. No-go zones. So with the mass immigration occurring, we're seeing formulate like all these no-go zones forming, and we have these conflicting groups, like religious groups that aren't really compatible with Australian culture. So like all the Muslims and stuff. So
why would they purposely segregate their own people? Segregate you guys? Like why are you being segregated in your own country? I understand if you go visit another country. Let's say I take you to parts of Africa that I know of, and some parts are controlled by this political party, and the other parts we don't go to because I get that because it's very heavily military restricted. But why are you in Sydney of all cities have no-go zones? I don't get it.
I know. Well, neither do I. And it's all these enclaves are forming. I've seen it in other nations, and it just doesn't work. If you go on Google and YouTube about Lauren Southern, she had a video how she was, if you Google throwing out a Sydney no-go zone. And even before she even got close to a mosque, all the cops came out and a senior sergeant or whatever told her not to go down there. And you're getting these streets where they're in different languages, and so it's quite concerning. Like, but even like many years ago, we had these Cronulla riots, because the Australian proper had enough, and it just like exploded out of concerns and Australians being fed up with the situation. So our politicians are using immigration as a weapon, and we're just being flooded in with immigrants. Like we barely can afford to live. We can't afford to. And they're using it to keep the property Ponzi going. Like, because the Aussie proper can't we're restricted to earn a living domestically with the high taxes and everything. So they're using the immigrants to come in and buy everything up. But multiculturalism doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It's anti-culture. So we're seeing erosion of Australian culture being eroded. So it's pretty sad because we're quite a laid-back bunch, and it used, like with me growing up on the northern coasts, it was a lot more friendlier, and we had a sense of community, and that's going. And these enclaves are just hostile, and
So
I recommend go and look up and search "thrown out of Sydney no-go zone" and look at Lauren Southern's video.
I have it right here. I'm already looking at it. Lauren Southern prohibited from a Muslim no-go zone in Sydney. No-go area Sydney TripAdvisor. Even TripAdvisor has a TripAdvisor area where you don't go in Sydney. Thrown out of Sydney no-go zone. Terror in Sydney. The no-go zone areas without big guns. By the Daily Telegraph. So I'm looking at wow. This is intense. This is intense. And you wouldn't imagine, like, you see, okay, so, Anton, like, if you go to downtown Toronto, okay, they have maybe three or four or five square blocks that is completely Portuguese. The signs are in Portuguese, it's Little Portugal, and then 3 blocks down to the east or south of it, it's Little Italy, and then there's Little Greece, and then there's Little, like, but they're not no-go zones. Anyone just goes there.
Yeah, even in Melbourne, I've lived overseas as well. Like, yeah, there are cultures that are compatible with ours, and we embrace we love different types of food and all that. But yeah, certain cultures opposing religious beliefs just aren't compatible with ours, and it is a concern. Like, yeah. We can go into the actual specifics, but might get you flagged. But
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 9.
Number 9. So number 9, diminishing quality of services.
Okay.
So I've noticed in Sydney, particularly on the weekends when most of the working force aren't working. Those that work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday jobs. If you try and go to a bar, a restaurant, or cafe, you're stuck waiting ages to be served. And once you place your order, you're even waiting longer. Sometimes I have to wait up to 30 minutes for a coffee. It's ridiculous. And if you go to a beach, even if it's not a most common beach, you're forced to park your car 2 kilometers away, because all the parks are taken, and the beaches are just chockers.
Wow.
So it's not quite fun. Like even in the summertime when you really want to go and jump in the surf and cool down. But everyone's had the same idea. So congested cities, it's the quality of service has just gone out the door. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they forget your order as well at places, at bars and restaurants. Really? Cafes. So you work hard all week with the hustle and bustle. Mm-hmm. So you want to go and relax a little bit and unwind. And yeah, it's a stressful experience just to get out of the house and go and do something.
Is the city at least upkept? Is it clean, or is this trash everywhere?
It's getting worse. I've seen how London operates, and especially with all the immigrants in London. They have a different set of standards. It's pretty sad. Also, I've seen like in my particular area, there's like trolleys littered everywhere. They steal the trolleys from kilometres away from shopping centres, and I must pass at least 100 trolleys just dumped everywhere. Even in my apartment block, when I'm going to the lift, there's trolleys left there. So,
hold on. Guys watching us in the Western Hemisphere, Northwestern Hemisphere, guys, a trolley is a shopping cart. Continue.
Yeah, so I find it strange. So that must add to the cost of groceries as well if the supermarkets are losing, because those trolleys probably cost over $100 each to make, and they're just like, they're just dumped everywhere. Like it's quite funny, but yeah.
Number 8.
There's no respect. Respect. They don't care. They just like
they should do what they do. You know what they do in Canada? They actually have a deposit system where you have to put a big coin, an expense, like a $2 coin inside, and then it unlocks the cart in front of you and you can pull it out.
Yeah, they need to do that, I think.
Yeah.
So, but also like walking, like they don't, like the Chinese and the Indians, they don't even see you, so you have to walk. It's like they own the footpaths, so you have to walk around them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Aussie proper are like invisible. So yeah, they really don't want us on our own land.
Yeah.
So it's very, very sad. Because when I go and travel to other countries, I respect the culture and I want to embrace the culture,
mm-hmm.
and I want to experience the culture. But we're seeing an erosion of culture and respect for the inhabitants. So, in Sydney, I just feel like I'm an outsider.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my place. So yeah,
that's how I felt about Vancouver, and that's why I left.
Yeah, so there's the diminishing of services, and you just don't, you feel like a second-rate citizen, like your money doesn't matter. So because the immigrants can just come in and buy us all up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're forced to be taxed to the ground, and with the little money that we do earn at the end, we can't enjoy the services in where we live. So that's number 9.
Number 8.
Crime is on the rise. I'm seeing abhorrent stories in the news on a daily basis. So break-ins, violence, drug issues. Even in my own apartment block, there was a sign up saying people have been breaking into the basement and breaking into cars. And even my own letterbox, my letterbox was jimmied open, so there's like identity theft.
What, to pay your bills?
Yeah, like our mail is being stolen. So, well, for me anyway.
Wow.
So I try not to get anything sent to my letterbox. So so we're going to see crime on the rise again.
I got Sydney crime. I got Sydney news right now up in front of me. Sydney man to be sentenced in October after mini crime spree. This is from today. A hair straightener and cross trainer, a $2 million fine for Sydney crimes. New South Wales Bureau of Crime Statistics as research figures reveals industrial area holding dubious honor of being the city's coke hotspot for cocaine. 2 locked up over half-ton cocaine bust. Senior Sergeant Stephen Horn retires Sydney's life as a forensics officer. Calls for backup as police struggle with ICE-related crime. That's ICE drugs, right? Huge investigation into crime results in 70 arrests and 650 charges. Wow. Okay, there we go. There's the crime. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. There's even sickening things like families being like murder-suicides and just real sick shit. Also, there was in the news this week some teenagers threw their friend who was disabled off a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty sad. So we're in an age of decadence. We're in the final stage of the empire where we're in an age of decadence. If you go and research this, decadence happens before the collapse. So society's just degrading and falling apart. So there's no consideration for others, and I actually believe that even the government and the police are behind a lot of the drugs as well. They're not doing much about it, but I reckon they're probably pushing a lot of the ice epidemic, and they make money out of it because they have budgets to prop up. So it's in their best incentive to keep crime high because they make money out of it. So the whole system is dependent on crime rising. So
Well, that's how they convert it into a police state, right? And then get you in fear and accept more police on the streets.
Yeah, problem, reaction, solution.
Right.
And so if you go and look that up. Poverty and drugs is a major issue. And it comes down to like the immigrants in China buying us up. Even our energy resources are getting bought up by China. So it's sort of been in the news this week again about our power companies being bought up by China. So all of our assets getting sold off, that's going to increase our costs of living, and
right.
crime's going to skyrocket. So
Number 7.
So number 7, nightlife sucks.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that it's just not. Let's look at some images of Sydney nightlife. Continue. Nightlife sucks.
Yeah, well, we used to have like the partying district for the bars and clubs in King's Cross years ago, and what the vibrant districts get bought out and converted into residential, but it was really sort of a place for people to let loose, I guess. And but King's Cross was quite a seedy part of Sydney anyway. So what the state government did is introduce these lockout laws where you can't go from one venue to another after a certain time.
Why?
So because of crime, or they wanted people to be contained in one premise, and then once you're done there, you have to go home after 1 o'clock or something, and then they tap people off from drinking after a certain hour as well. So we've seen a contraction on where and when we can go and let loose and stuff after working a hard week's work sort of thing. So there's no real place like, except we have the rise of the sports places with the pokie machines. So that's become another epidemic. So the only real places are these pubs with the poker machines. So they're not a fun atmosphere to be in, really. We have the ID system. So you can't get into certain bars and clubs unless you have a government ID that gets scanned into a database.
What?
So
what? Isn't that like in Germany when they ask for your papers?
Yeah, exactly. So all this, and even recently going through airports, even though if you're not flying internationally, if you're only flying domestically, you need a government ID, and if you don't comply, they can send you to jail for 10 years. So we're seeing the erection of these corporate states, even nationally, trying to move between states is becoming more restricted as well. So going to Sydney to other places is not that fun either. I'm sort of jumped the gun here. So, but yeah, nightlife sucks. Like there's if you go out on a Friday, Saturday night, it's essentially a ghost town. So, if you go and look that up.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking up some of the images here of some really good, attractive-looking women here in the nightclub scene type of thing in Sydney. But a lot of these images are 7, 8 years old. And some of them are new, but a lot of them are older. But let's check the news.
Yeah, there's some clubs where they're very selective on who they let in.
Studio 54.
Yeah. So you'll find that with these images that you're looking at, there'll be clubs where the bouncers they're more favoured towards good-looking women with big boobs and fake implants and all that, and lots of makeup. And but when you're an average bloke, you're discriminated against. So you'll find there'll be 80% women in these clubs. So that's why most of these photos, they're all tarted up chicks.
Hey, can I ask a question, Anton? Why don't you become a Minister of Nightlife for Sydney to help grow the After Dark community or economy?
I don't know.
I'm joking. I'm reading an article here. From ABC News from Australia, always broadcasting crap, says Sydney needs a Minister of Nightlife to help grow After Dark economy. And this emoji there sleeping because it looks like it's a snore fest.
Yeah. But the state government tried to do this Vivid Festival with the lights to showcase Sydney for a month.
Right.
And all the people living here, it was just like a clusterfuck. Where, excuse my French, where the Vivid Festival, people couldn't get around that easily, it was just crowded. Everyone trying to see the attractions on the weekends. So it's just too congested.
Wow. Okay, number 5.
Isolated. So yeah, Sydney is full of snobs. It's very hard to make friends, and it's a very unfriendly place to be in. Even at work, it's a bit of a shark tank. So you can't really make friends with people at work, and there's no real place to go, and because everyone's concerned with the property situation, and they're did it up to the hilt. So nobody has any free money, money so that they can go and splurge and for entertainment. So most people just stay home on the weekends due to their mortgage and the cost of living. So
they're house broke.
It's very isolating.
People are house broke.
So there's no real place to meet people, and it's like with all the immigrants, you can't socialize with them. They don't even really talk our language. There's not in the past with the I guess the Greeks and the Italians and stuff coming here, they were hardworking and they worked hard to assimilate, and they're more friendlier sort of thing. But yeah, the Chinese and the Indians, they're not friendly. So and
because I felt that when I was, it wasn't too much the Indians, because I have some Indian friends and stuff, and we find a lot of, I find quite a bit of similarities, especially in the board gaming scene that I'm in the gaming scene. And there's quite a bit of pretty cool people that are really out there that know that kind of scene that I'm in. But a lot of the Chinese community, I just don't know too much of them because they just don't. They don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very social person when I'm in my store, and when I was in downtown Vancouver, I would strike a conversation with everybody that walked in and talk, and whether it's the weather, politics, whether it's whatever the scene is going on or whatever is happening in the community, and a lot of people just refuse to talk to me, which is fine. And but it's I felt that a lot more from the whole Chinese side of it. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, and on my ex-girlfriend was Chinese, right? So it's not. I don't have anything against them. It's just I don't have anything against anybody. It's just the way it's being portrayed as, or the way it's being shown as, and the way people are being felt, or how people are feeling about it, right?
Yeah. Well, I just feel like the Chinese in particular see us as rent slaves
or second class citizens.
Yes. So they come here, they're rent seeking parasites, and they see us as a means to extract wealth. Mm-hmm. So the Chinese are very smart when it comes to numbers and being able to extract wealth.
That's right.
So that's all what they see us for. So I just saw a comment by Mr. E saying public enemy number one is straight white Christian male. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very true.
Anna, are you Roman? Are you Catholic?
I'm Christian. I was baptized and all that.
Good.
I don't.
You were baptized.
And I believe in the Christian values, 10 Commandments, and morals and all that.
Good.
But I don't believe in organized religion and the Vatican and all that.
Yeah. I'm not a whole Vatican follower either. I am Roman Catholic. I have my God. I have my Savior. I have, I don't bow down to, myself too. I practice sometimes. I go to church sometimes. I mean, I should go more often. My wife is more practicing than I am. She's Filipina, so she's very Catholic, very, very Christian upbringing. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, we're coming into times where you either embrace those values or you don't, mm-hmm. and I think we're being tested. So, mm-hmm. and we've come to a point in our society where we have to make choices of who we want to be and what values we want to adopt and practice. So I'm sort of getting towards the point in my life where I'm saying, okay, there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. Mm-hmm. So,
to be very, very frank with you, Anton, with everything that's happening around us, with everything that's been going down, with everything in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, religion is starting to make a lot more sense to me, and a lot of it's starting to come into fruition. And I'm not talking about the apocalypse and the end of the world and all that stuff and Judgment Day. I'm just talking about that a lot of it now, I could see why they don't want us to be religious. I can understand why they want to remove it from us. Because
the state and Christian values aren't compatible. That's why you see China banning Christianity, and they want to control the churches. Like they want to control people coming together. Mm. And we're seeing that in Australia too. Any possible means of people coming together, they want full control over, and to stamp things out when it opposes their agenda.
Mm-hmm. Okay, number 5.
So mass immigration.
Okay, I've been seeing a lot of articles on the mass immigration coming into Australia. Is it because the Australian proper can't have kids, or it's too expensive to have kids, or they're just not interested in starting families?
I don't think it's because we're not interested in starting families. It's about, well, our jobs aren't secure. We don't can't afford a home. So if you can't afford to look after yourself, or you're on the precipice of being homeless and destitute, is it really fair to bring a child into the world?
That's
when
true.
when you're unsure that you can look after yourself, and your relationships are always stressed, and like particularly women have unreasonable expectations. It's like women don't want to be supportive of their man. They don't want to be a nurturing type, and they want to be like, women want to be in the corporate world and be equals, but as such. But so that sort of plays into the family unit being broken down. So it's a lot harder to have a family these days, especially when everything is in such disarray. So
Anton, hold on. Put the brakes on for a sec. I got somebody, Johnny Blazo, saying, ignorant, racist, xenophobic pricks like you don't deserve to be heard. Johnny Blazo is saying that China is not banning Christianity, that we're full of crap, and that we're racist. So we're looking at here, I pulled up a few articles right now that were posted in the last couple of hours. Police ban shut down the large Protestant church in China's capital. China restricts incense and praying. China mulls censoring on online religious content. Pastors in China prepare to lose their lives for preaching the gospel. Beijing needs to show better understanding to churches after deal. Report Chinese government burning Bibles and destroying crosses. That's on the Daily Wire. So there's so much going on here with China banning religion. So I think our friend there needs to calm down there in the comment section.
Yeah, it's not about being racist. Like I like Chinese food. I like Chinese culture. I followed like Bruce Lee and martial arts and did martial arts as a kid. It's not about being racist. It's about, okay, we all want security in our life. We want to be able to have a family. We want to be able to lay roots and have our own home. Like, and when people come into our own country and buy us out, that isn't fair. It's not a fair playing field. Like we're taxed into the ground, and the cost of these properties aren't in accordance with what the people who are actually born here can afford. It's not fair. So, and we can't go to your country and buy property. So it's not so why should they be allowed to come here and buy up our properties? It's not fair. So playing the R card is unacceptable, and it's becoming old. Yeah, mass immigration is a major issue, and the government's using it as a weapon, and I fear that they're going to keep on using this play card to keep the Ponzi scheme going.
Can I ask a question, Anton? Let me ask you a question. Could the infrastructure, is the infrastructure supporting the mass immigration?
Definitely not. So that comes up to our number 4 issue.
Okay. So
we've had public transport disruptions, like the rail and the bus situation. Time and time again, we've had, especially on the weekends when you want to go and do stuff. We've had public transport disruptions. The rail lines shutting down. Even on my Spotify, it was played like in the ads on my Spotify that, they're shutting down from the 30th of September, the rail lines for rail work. So, and the CBD is like with the light rail rollout, that's been taking ages to fulfill. So small businesses have been affected with the light rail construction. So the CBD is essentially a construction site taking ages to finish. So it's not a nice place to wander around. Like it's just it's ugly. So yeah.
So infrastructure, yeah. So the infrastructure is it can't support the masses or the immigration or the amount of people coming in. Well, how many people do you think Sydney was designed for, in your opinion?
I can't quote any numbers, but we're past the tipping point, I'd say, and the whole notion of everyone must work the same, like the typical office job. For example, everyone must work in the office. Everyone must start at 9 and leave at 5:30, 6 o'clock or later is ridiculous. And then we're spending all that time commuting. So that comes into number 3, commute times and congested roads.
Yes.
So the average time is probably, I'd say, about 2 hours a day commuting. And on a daily basis, we're seeing car accidents. There was a car even that got toppled over on the Sydney Story Bridge the other week. It flipped over. So if you can Google that up, there was a funny picture.
I think I saw that on the news here.
Yeah, so there's constant road accidents, and the roads are so small. Like if you compared to the US, like I envy their roads because they've planned things out a lot better.
Yeah, the U.S. had a very big plan during the Eisenhower era to expand their highways, and it's more for moving military around the country if it needs to.
Yeah, but like places like LA, the roads are just shit. Like they're crumbling and got cracks. So
yeah, a lot of stuff hasn't been updated since the 1960s and 70s, right? So yeah.
Yeah, like the quality of our roads are a lot better. Like the tarmac, we don't have as many potholes and cracks as places like LA does. But the thing is, like, there's just too many cars on the road. It's just too congested. So something like a 30-minute trip can take an hour. I mean, a 15-minute trip can take an hour. So, so that's not really addressed, and you just get sick of being in traffic all the time. I opted to move closer to work so I can walk and not deal with the traffic anymore. And trucks just are caught mowing people down all the time, and essentially got immunity, the trucks, so they don't do anything about the trucks, and the authorities turn a blind eye. So getting from A to B is just a nightmare, and then finding a park is just hard. It's very, very costly. So
because with me in Vancouver, if I was to drive less than a kilometer, I'd almost get into 13 accidents.
Yeah, and you're seeing in the news all the time, like pedestrians getting run down by trucks, for example. Like at least probably 5 people this year have died in my area from being run over by trucks. So
yeah, it's not good.
And yet the government doesn't do anything about it. So they don't really care about the Australian proper. They just care about the money. So
yeah, it's gotten to a point, and that's why I told you earlier that's why religion is becoming more and more. It's becoming more and more. I don't know how to say it. I'm not trying to preach here, but I'm saying it's becoming more and more relevant. That's why everything's becoming more and more relevant. And I said this before, and I don't know how long you've been watching my channel for, but I've been saying that the Antichrist is money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I say, like, yeah, it's all through the Vatican. So the Vatican is essentially the first debtor of man. And essentially things have been flipped upside down so much that we're operating through this corporate entities that are controlled by the Vatican. So in Australia, we have the Reserve Bank of Australia, which is essentially a subsidiary of the Fed.
RBA.
And we borrow money with interest attached. But like all roads lead to Rome.
That's right.
So all our sort of Commonwealth nations are connected to the US incorporated, and then it goes through the City of London and then back to the Vatican. And so I'll probably get a bit too deep there. But essentially, the Vatican operates as an intermediary between God and man, and we're tricked into using the legal entity. So if you look up the definition of what a surname is, it means something that creeps from underneath, creepeth underneath like a snake. So the serpent. So the Vatican makes us use these legal entities we're operating through. We're not using our Christian name. We're not operating as actual proper Christians. So and that's why the Chinese with the Christianity crack down. They want to rewrite the Bible so to be a more compatible with their communist regime. And Australia is becoming more like a communist country as well. So it's completely incompatible with Christian values.
But people, what it is what we're doing on this, what we're doing, and we're talking here. We're just simply calling a spade and trying to crack down the problem to fix what's going on.
This isn't about race.
It's not about. It's not. It's. You know what I'm saying? It's not about race. It never was about race. You know, I've always. I was brought up. There's only one race, and it's humans, right? And it's not about that. It's about, everybody living in a very happy utopia or a very happy, everyone living a happy life and moving ahead in life and doing what they can while they're on this earth to live a beautiful, humble, beautiful, blessed life. You know what I'm saying? So Johnny Blazo saying, then stop being racist. So, I don't know how I could be, okay, fine. If you want to call me a racist, call me a racist for trying to address what the problems are. Because if the problems don't get brought up or addressed, then the problem will continue to grow and spread. Whatever it is, whether it is mass migration, whether it is mass immigration, whether it is counterfeit money, whatever it is, the problem spreads, whether a computer virus, whatever you want to call it. But if people want to call me a racist, that's fine. My wife's Filipina, she's Asian. My ex-wife was Muslim. My ex-girlfriend was Chinese. The one before was Chinese, that one. And then before that, the other one was Jamaican. And then the other one was from Barbados. So I don't know how much of a racist I am. I don't know. Am I a racist, Anton, or?
No, not at all. Like we work hard. You're a hard worker, Mike, and I work mighty hard, and it's very hard to save. The cost of living and the whole property situation, which is the linchpin, and it's just not. It comes down to fairness. Like, why should people from a foreign country be allowed to come and buy us out?
That's what I've been talking and preaching about Australia, for the last 7 years.
It is not fair. Like the people that live here, that are born here and work here, have all these constraints on us, and we're taxed into the ground, and we have a finite amount of money that we have at the end of the day. Yet our property prices are just have been skyrocketing, but they're falling now, thank God. But it's just a joke. It's just not fair. We can't buy in their country, but they can come here and buy us up. And
well, it's not even just China. It's Mexico. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, Mike, I could buy in Mexico. I know some expats that are living in Mexico." And no, read the fine print. Read the fine print. You can't own anything in Mexico if you're not Mexican.
Yeah. So,
number three.
Number three. So, no, we got. Oh, number 2, you mean? Well, number 3 was the commute time, congested roads.
Number 2.
So number 2, the cost of living. So particularly Sydney-siders and Australia in general, mortgage stress levels are on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Renting is a nightmare, like the real estate agents price fix. So we have these mass quantities of vacant properties, yet the rental prices aren't coming down as much as they should be.
Yes.
But like where I rented before, I saw the property I listed that was $530 a week, and it was listed for 3 months, and they dropped it down by like $150 until the listing was taken off.
Really?
I don't know if they ended up renting it. I don't know if they ended up renting it out, or if the owner moved back in, or if they put it on Airbnb or whatever. But yeah, and I can see all the other apartments, like at least 3/4 of them aren't lived in. They're all mostly empty. So renting is a nightmare, but it's not just the price. They demand long leases and it's a bit hard when employment isn't secure. And a lot of these houses and apartments are old hovels, like with mold and asbestos and 10-year-old carpets and faulty plumbing.
That's what's happening in New Zealand too. 50-year-old carpets actually in New Zealand.
Oh, it's disgusting. And not to mention the noise and air pollution. It's like where I was renting, it was like a road off the highway, and trucks and cars were just even coming past late at night. And yeah, it was very hard to sleep and breathe. So, and that the floor space of these units is very, very limited. So you pay a fortune, but you don't get the amenities or quality that you pay for, and they're very tiny apartments. So, and the cost of food is going through the roof.
Is that number 1?
No, this is number 2 still, cost of living.
I thought you were adding cost of food for number 1. Yeah, cost of food is skyrocketing everywhere, and they're going to blame the price on oil going up. It's going to cost more to transport the food. But what about when the price of oil dropped to $20, $25 a barrel during the big oil crash 5 years ago? Why did the price of gas skyrocket, and why did the price of food skyrocket?
Yeah, and the utilities, power, gas, internet, mobile, the power and gas companies, the Chinese wants to buy all that. So that's a concern. Once the Chinese have a stronghold of all of our power stations, like they'll have a monopoly to just jack up the prices as much as they want. So that's a concern. So at the end of the day, with the high taxes, because it's very hard to just be an independent freelancer these days. So more and more so, you have to work these jobs where your wages are getting garnished for taxes before you get paid. So your take-home pay is a lot less. So if you look at the tax rates, the tax brackets that we work under, the government takes a huge chunk of your pay. And so after the cost of living and rent or your mortgage, you don't have much to save for a deposit in Sydney. So cost of living is just astronomical. It's just the quality of life just goes out the door. So
the cost of
But I see that Johnny guy say, hateful, xenophobic logic. It's like, it's in the news. You look up even the news this week. Like there's concerns about our national security with China eyeing more of our power assets. So, and our power prices are already high.
I heard people are paying like $400 for some places for electricity per month.
So, yeah, it's disgusting. So, Yeah. So that's the cost of living.
Number one.
And then housing affordability, which is on everyone's minds. So it's gotten to the point where there's not even any point in quoting any figures or getting into specifics, because overnight the figures will just change.
Mm-hmm.
So mortgage stress is on the rise, household debt is on the rise. Like what is it now? Over 200% of household income or something.
260.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Stagnant wage growth. So why would companies want to pay higher wages when they can just get in cheap labor,
Mm-hmm.
like with all the mass immigration coming in? So it's an unfair playing ground. Like, so even if you spent a lot of your early years getting an education and getting a huge student loan, and you got the qualifications and experience,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, companies don't want to pay wages according to what houses are priced at. So
Well, if
it's
they
way
did
out of
that,
whack.
they're going to have to pay you like $200 an hour.
Exactly. So, like, even though house prices are plummeting, we have a long way to go, because like, what is it, like 13 times the average income? And is that income pre or post tax and expenses?
When you factor that in, it's like 19 times.
Yeah. So housing affordability is number one
Mm-hmm.
issue at the moment, and that's why there's a mass exodus of Australian proper leaving Sydney.
Mm-hmm. Are a lot of them
government
going to Hobart and stuff and Melbourne?
Melbourne, I think, like Queensland, is a big hot spot
Mm-hmm.
that people are migrating to. I think people that are going to Melbourne will find that in 6 to 12 months' time, it's just going to be the same issues. So they're just going to bunny hop.
Mm-hmm.
So Melbourne's going to have the same. Melbourne's already coming close to Sydney. So
Mm-hmm.
in 6 to 12 months' time, people will start leaving Melbourne if they've migrated from Sydney to Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see any point in moving there, because we're going to have the same issue anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Melbourne. And the government just tries to meddle with their first homeowner grants to keep the Ponzi scheme growing. But all that does is increase prices.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you gave every citizen $1 million each, the prices will just adjust accordingly, and it wouldn't make a difference.
It would no, it wouldn't. It would actually make things a lot worse.
Yeah. So also this year, they introduced a new scheme to allow people to dip into their superannuation retirement funds, so they can take out 2 lots of $15,000 out of their retirement fund.
Oh.
Yeah, so $30,000 they can take out, and most people don't even have that in their retirement fund anyway.
But do they have to pay it back in a few years?
No, but what this will do is diminish people's retirement funds, and I don't see by the time a lot of people my age and younger and future generations, like, they won't, like, the government will be so bankrupt that like, people won't get the retirement pension. So not only they won't have savings for retirement, but I don't think there'll be a retirement pension by the time they're 65 or 70.
I think we're going to have Mario DeCettis on the show in a week or two. He's going to cover the pension crisis that's happening. And this is a big blow to the working class citizens that have basically given their entire lives to their countries and contributed to the infrastructure and made it what it is today. And
so I'd advise anyone that's tempted to dip into their retirement fund not to do it.
No,
they're better to just leave it there, because it's in a falling market, and it's a trick that the government's trying to push you into to keep this Ponzi going.
Mm-hmm.
Governments need to stop meddling and just let the free market do its thing, and allow people to go bankrupt. It's going to hurt, but it's better than the unaffordability situation to just drag on much longer, and just to allow prices to correct. Mortgage interest rates are already going up, and the interest-only mortgages are expiring to principal plus interest. So a lot of the speculators that have bought multiple properties, they'll be forced to sell some of them or all of them, or go under and lose the lot. So we're going to see lots of sob stories, but that's a good thing. So it serves those people right for getting too much in debt, and we need to stop the rent-seeking parasites. Because we don't create anything here in Australia, especially it's all just administrative and speculative. So consumer sentiment is down. So in Sydney, we're seeing a lot of sales and in the shopping malls.
Consumer spending is as lowest it's been since, when was it? 1989?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm seeing in the shopping malls closing down sales and 50% off, 60% off, and even higher. So they I see in these stores they're trying to get rid of their stock before they close up because they can't afford the rents. Yeah.
Wow. So that's getting hard too. Yeah. Consumer spending is down. Consumer confidence is down. Consumers are losing their jobs. Are losing their shirts. And it's scary. It is very, very, very scary on what's happening on all these fronts. It's like I said, it's the perfect storm. The mix is there. You know, when you add that little mix, that little box of cake mix you buy to add to your cake, that's the ingredient that's being added right now, and that's what's happening to our perfect storm. Rising interest rates, stress testing, everything. The zero capital outflows from China. No money leaving China anymore. The government putting a clampdown on that. It's all happening all at once, and it's basically investors' worst nightmare. And then you got the news, the media massaging the investors and telling people nothing to worry about, nothing's happening here, when we are going into the most catastrophic collision in. It's a huge catastrophic collision of finance and money and economy and derivative markets and futures markets. It's going to be a huge gong show, and the national debt, international debt, world debt, guys. It's I'm not trying to preach fear porn here. I'm not trying to scare people, guys. Prepare food. Prepare fresh water in the house for emergencies. Save some bottled water. Because once that electrical grid goes down, or once one bad storm comes along, things get a lot worse. You know what I'm saying? So, Anton, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? You're leaving Sydney. Where are you going?
That's hard to say. I need to build up a bit better rapport with my current employer so I can see if I can work remotely, and so probably further north. A lot of Sydney-siders are cashing out of their multi-million-dollar homes in favour of cheaper houses in the tropical north. So it's a lot cheaper up there. So I'd like to get my own patch of dirt and build something.
Why don't you go up to Darwin? I always wanted to go to Darwin. Why don't you go to Darwin? I'll visit you there.
I don't know. I think because it gets way too hot at the far north of Queensland, and there's mosquitoes, and so probably want to be inland in the middle area between Queensland and
Fine.
Yeah, but people are already leaving. It's costing the state billions. There's a lot of vulnerable postcodes in Sydney. So, but I'm not planning on bunkering down or buying lots of food where I'm at, because I'll just have to transport it, and can be quite dangerous in a collapse to be stuck in a city.
Yes. Oh, yes. We got to do a survival thing. I'll get some of my friend on here who's into survival and wilderness survival. Maybe we could do a show with him, and he could kind of give us a little bit of an insight on what to do if you are in a city, how to basically make the best of it if you are living in a city during a major collapse. You know.
I watched a movie last night called Leave No Trace. It's like newly released. Okay. You could probably download it somewhere. And it was about this army veteran with his daughter that lives in the woods, and they get caught. They get caught by the officials, and they end up getting set up in a home, but they couldn't quite adjust.
What's it called? So, what's it called? The movie?
Leave No Trace.
Let's see here. Leave No Trace trailer. Here's the trailer right here. Let's see what it looks like. Playing trailer right now. It looks like it's based off a true story right off the bat. Let's go.
Yeah, it was a bit. It had documentary sort of feel to it.
Oh, it looks pretty good. So living out in the woods, I've seen that. Very green though, very green and lush, and very. When I see that green and lush and that photosynthesis, it looks so promising. And then they're getting arrested here, and I guess like they get taken in, like you said. Wow. Wow, this looks good, man.
Yeah. So and they get some charity, but it's like when you accept charity, it's not really your home. There's still sort of unsaid conditions, and and the guy he was pushed to sign up for all this shit, like to have housing and get a license and all this crap, and get a phone and stuff, and it really wasn't his way, sort of thing. Like he was more comfortable just doing his own thing, and quite self-sufficient. But it was something to watch. So if you can get a hold of it,
I will. I'll find it tonight. Yeah. Well, it's getting late. I'm going into my third hour here, and I'm falling asleep. I know the last 40 minutes I've been kind of offbeat for the last 40 minutes. It's just, talking for straight 3 hours and not having any bathroom breaks. It gets kind of tedious after the first hour.
It's like you've had a 3-hour show, and but I didn't mean to offend anyone. Like
we know you don't want to offend anyone. We understand that. Okay, look, Anton, look. If it was Portuguese people doing it, if it was my people, Portuguese people doing it, you would mention the Portuguese are coming, the Portuguese are doing this, the Portuguese are ignoring us. I get it. We get it. It
comes down to fairness. Like, I'd like to earn millions. I'd like to buy a nice home, but it's like it's completely unfair. Like, it has nothing to do with race. So anyway, but
like if let's say if it was the Australians causing a mess here in Canada, I'd be saying the Australians are doing this. Why are the Australians doing that? How are the Australians getting away with this? Why are the Australians destroying? What's their plan? You know what I'm saying? But it's not the Australians,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So it's quite concerning, and like New Zealand's doing the right thing, stopping foreigners from buying, but I don't think it's at the full extent. I think they're still allowing new buildings in the cities to be built and bought by Chinese. So if you look that up.
Well, back a year and a half ago, 1.5, 2 years ago, if you wanted to buy a condo in Vancouver, you would have to go to China to buy it. because they're
Exactly.
they're releasing the launch purchase date is in China.
Yeah, the showroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like
But-
we're making this up. It's just that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like if the
Yeah,
if the show
like I even see meals.
yeah, like if the
I
showroom
understand.
was in Sao Paulo, we'd be saying it's in Sao Paulo, but it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways,
but yeah, it's sort of dragging on a bit. But
Yeah.
good talking with you.
Yes, Anton, thank you so much, my brother. We'll keep in touch. Keep us on the pulse on what you're doing and where you're moving around. And thanks for the movie tip. We'll take a look at this movie for sure. Definitely worth looking at. And yeah. Thank you so much, Anton, for everything. Have a good night, brother.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
So that was Anton from Sydney, Sydney, Australia. And he wants to leave Sydney. This is the number one reason. So here he goes. No-go zones. Diminishing quality of services. Number 8, crime is on the rise. Number 7, nightlife sucks. Number 6, isolation. Number 5, mass immigration. Number 4, public transport disruptions. Number 3, commute times and congested roads. Number 2, cost of living. And number 1, housing affordability. And yeah, it's happening in almost... I could probably call someone right now in London and they'll tell me the same thing is happening. And they don't know what to do about it. You know, it's something it's more of a global spectrum. And that's why I'm covering all English-speaking countries, because they have the same patterns that are the same patterns. You know, same patterns. You know, you want to see political? Look what happened to Trump. Look what's happened to Faith Goldie. Look what's happening to anyone that leans to the right. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. I want to thank everyone in the comments section. I think Johnny Blazo needs to calm down. I think Johnny Blazo needs to take a pill and chill. And relax. And that's it, people. I'm tired. Mike Martin signing off with Mike in the Night. I want to thank all my guests for being here. And that's that. Big hug to everybody. I love you guys. Thanks so much. Have a good night.